Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Taberry here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah.
And then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next three. As you just heard, Ross Bjork, some fellas, we're going to have to carve out a little bit more time, I think, on that, because that was I did not see that coming. That update bite you had there, Reese, in terms of the four conferences are going to come up with a new ruling governing body. And
right now they're talking about it.
They're going to get it done, I guess. They got to get it done by July. So we're going to need a little bit more time to digest all of that. And we will do so in the 9:30 segment of this program, about 26 minutes from now. But there's a lot there was a lot of meat on the bone with Ross with the Juice Bringers this morning. That was a lot of good stuff. I've always been a big fan, and it feels like he's the right guy at the right time, at the right program to do this. And Ohio State's seat at this table is going to be a formidable one. But my God, is that all complicated? That is some complicated stuff. So we'll get into that at greater detail here coming up in about 25 minutes from now. In addition to that, we will hit your email as is customary on a Thursday. We will open up the mailbag at 10 o'clock. Our good buddy Paul Finebaum, who I'll ask about that very thing that Ross Bjork just mentioned, will join at 10:30. We'll do a little higher, lower at 11 o'clock. A little bit of Shelly time for the Jackets at 11:30 as well. Do you know what happened on this day 6 years ago? This very day, 6 years ago today.
No idea.
It was Ryan Day's first practice as the head coach of Ohio State. Now, he had the interim job when Herbert was suspended at the start of the 18 season. But this was his first practice as the head coach at Ohio State. It's a pretty wild thing when you think about it, that a program like this, if you take yourself back in that time, I don't think it's as wild as Jim Tressel going from Youngstown State to Ohio State. I think that was probably as big a swing, especially in that moment in the late 90s, early 2000s, where the sport was at that time. For a program like this one that had lost its fastball a little bit at the end of Coop to find the answer to that in a 1AA program, that's one of the bolder hires that paid off in college football history, quite honestly. Mattress was obviously proven, but there was no proof that he was ready to swim with these big fish. But swim he did. And the one thing that they were really smart about, and I think it's something Ross tried to kind of mimic with Jake, was an understanding that Jim Tressel had relationships in the state of Ohio. And he had relationships with the high school football coaches in the state of Ohio. And we were in kind of a bit of a golden era of Ohio high school football talent. If you go back to that time and you think about Maurice Clarett, you think about Justin Zwick, and you think about Mike DeAndrea and AJ and Bobby and all of those guys who were coming through who were Ohioans at that time, Ted Ginn, that was peak Tar Blooders, man. You think about the talent that was coming through there. There were so many five-star kids in the state, and Tress knew those coaches and had relationships and built it. So that was a pretty big damn gamble to hire a guy for 1AA. But what Andy Geiger banked on was that Jim Tressel knew Ohio. And if you started in Ohio, you could build all things off of that. We did not know that about Ryan Day. We didn't. He had no ties to the state. He had been here only briefly, had never previously been a head coach. Brilliant in his time here as offensive coordinator, and really solid when Urban was benched at the start of that season. But you didn't know what Ryan was going to be able to do with this job. He did have a bit of a cheat code in that he had all of Urban's infrastructure guys in place. This is probably the most seamless transition of power of a monster brand, maybe in the history of the sport, in that Ryan was on the staff, but Mickey Marotti, Mark Pantoni, Voltolini, all of those guys stayed. The staff stayed. So you had this incredible transition of power that I think was probably, when I think of the transition of power from Urban to Ryan, you think of the video, right, where he threw him the controller and you got next. And then the next thing I think of is them at the basketball game with Justin Fields and Tate Martell up in the stands. That's the next thing you think of is, oh, they're going to make sure that this goes right by getting him the quarterback that is required. And they did. They did. And they got Justin, and that all kicked off. Here we are 6 years later. You think about what you've been through as a program in those 6 years. You think about, obviously, what just happened, probably the most magical month you're ever going to remember as a Buckeye fan, that race to the national championship. You're going to remember Justin Fields' immediate success and impact. You're going to remember Justin Fields. I mean, you think of all of the things, guys. You think of Justin going on the Today Show and fighting for a season after it was canceled by the Big Ten and COVID. You think about Michigan canceling the Ohio State-Michigan game because they had a, quote, COVID outbreak that none of us really believed. The idea that Ohio State was playing by COVID rules and Alabama was not in that national championship game. I mean, there's so many layers to it. Obviously, one big part of the layer is the lack of success against Michigan the last 4 times out. That's part of it. But here you sit 6 years later, and as Reese mentioned in the update, they'll kick off spring practice a week from Monday. And you're in a position that I was thinking about. We had the conversation yesterday about face of the sport. And I was thinking there are probably, if you go back to the modern college football, so I'm talking from the 1960s on, you think modern college football, faces of the sport. I think that Ryan Day is the third example of Ohio State being the face of the sport. I think certainly Woody in the late 60s and early 70s was the face of the sport. And that probably went all the way through Arch with the back-to-back Heismans. That stretch, they were, along with Bear Bryant, they probably shared it. Bear was in Alabama winning a lot at that time, and obviously Woody was here. But that was probably face of the sport. Mid-60s, late 60s, face of the sport was probably Woody Hayes on a very short list. Maybe Bear was there or not, but certainly Woody was there. I think the next time Ohio State has face of the sport, it's probably Urban. I'm not sure Tress ever got there. I don't know if he got all the way to face of the sport. I think that was probably Pete Carroll. It was probably the dwindling, that was probably USC at that time. He probably never quite got all the way there. Ohio State under Tress still felt more of a regional entity, certainly a behemoth. I mean, we've talked about it 1,000 times, but I don't know if they ever got there. I think Urban got there. End of Florida, Urban got there, and then beginning of Ohio State, Urban got there. He shared it with Saban, and then Saban became the face. And I think Ryan is now. I think it's Ryan, and I think it's Kirby. And I think they are the faces of college football going forward. And you think about how that changed over the course of a month, but that's where I think we are in 2025 going into his 6th spring as the head coach a week from Monday.
Especially with players being as transient as ever. Yep. You know, I think back to, you know, when it was Pete Carroll, you still had Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush for several seasons, and you had Tim Tebow with Urban at Florida, and Tebow was really the face of that. And then once he was gone, there was kind of a glut in terms of a player that could be a face because there wasn't a player at a single space for more than a year, maybe 2 years, because they just either hadn't, evolved to become. Like Joe Burrow was the face, but it was so quick that you couldn't really make that argument. And I think back to Ryan's first year as a head coach. That was Justin Fields' first year because you only had Dwayne Haskins, but for a moment, but for a single season, was he really that dominant college football quarterback? So I think there was that shift. Once the transfer portal started, I think it sped that up, that there can't be a player face. It does have to be more coach facing. And I think to your point, it was Kirby, and now maybe it is Ryan.
It's Ryan and Kirby, right?
Yeah.
I think because I'm not, your boy Dabo, I feel like now he could have one more run at it with Klubnik.
But that'd be one fleeting run because Klubnik's going 1 year and then he's done. I mean, if you look at the NCAA football, I guess I keep calling it the NCAA football game because that's just the crutch, but the college football video game, like the covers of that was Travis Hunter, Donovan Edwards, and Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
It's like, well, one of three ain't bad in terms of their season.
That's true.
It's such an interesting question because I guess to me, I've always felt the face of college football has been the helmets. The helmets have been the face of college football. The Buckeye helmet, the Alabama helmet, some of the famous, because we only have players for a short time, so they can't be a face long term. And the guys you associate with college football over history have been the coaches, the Bear Bryants, the Woody Hayeses, the Joe Paternos, the Bo Schembechlers, the Bobby Bowdens, as you know, Bo, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. I don't. Maybe Ryan is that guy now. I haven't thought of it, but we've had such a turnover in the coaches here recently. There's only 3 of them that have national championships that are active. So maybe Ryan is on that list. It's such an interesting question because I've always just felt the helmet was the face.
Well, what you just said is exactly what they want. Because the helmet stays, right? Players come and go. The jersey stays. The helmet stays. That's the key to it. I do think Ryan's there. I think that's where he is, and it's 6 years ago today, he coached his first practice at Ohio State. Going to be a big spring for the Buckeyes. Going to be a big spring around the Big Ten as it tries to win its 3rd straight national championship. We'll go over some of those big storylines. Continue this conversation as well coming up next. We're off and running on a Thursday edition. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic.
Oh, yes.
Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Men, this is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And you've heard me talk a lot about how treating low testosterone can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more. But today I want to talk to you about your sex drive, because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. It can even be a factor in erectile dysfunction. And if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low sex drive could really be a problem. The good news is that if you're like most guys, treating your low testosterone could really change the way you feel about sex, giving you back the flame and desire that is so important when you love someone. So if you're feeling sluggish and tired, if you're not sleeping well, if your workouts aren't that great, and most of all, if your sex drive is more like a putt, make an appointment at Tri-State Men's Health and have your testosterone levels checked. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the tri-state area to serve you.
This is a Craver service announcement. Stop what you're doing and get 10 cheese sliders for a new low price of just $7.99. Your choice of melty American, spicy jalapeno, or cheddar cheese. Only $7.99 for 10 cheese sliders. White Castle. Follow your crave.
You're invited to Circle K's Inner Circle Member Celebration. On March 6th, Inner Circle members across Columbus will get an exclusive 40 cents off per gallon from 6 a.m. until 11:59 p.m. Want to join the party? Just download the Circle K app and create an account to join Inner Circle. Don't miss your chance to save 40 cents off per gallon on March 6th all day. Sign up now. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit the Circle K app for details.
1-877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Got a car to sell? Jermaine Toyota of Columbus wants it and will pay you $1,000 over the Kelly Blue Book value. That's right. Jermaine Toyota Buy Center is making it easier than ever to get top dollar for your ride. No trade-in required, no pressure, just fast, easy cash for your car. Any make, any model, we want it. Stop by Jermaine Toyota of Columbus today or visit JermaineToyota.net to get your free appraisal. Jermaine Toyota of Columbus on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
This is Corey Sickles with Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors. Loads and fees erode your retirement savings. Let us show you how to protect your nest egg. Visit safeharboroh.com to schedule a complimentary meeting. safeharboroh.com.
Goes to Rothman and Ice has been named the best midday show in the country by our industry peers.
A winner if ever there was one.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Also, Common Man and T-Bone has been named best show at sucking. The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Heading into this afternoon, we are going to be looking at some sunshine. It'll be windy with winds gusting as high as 35 miles per hour. Today's high 39, tonight's low 29. Heading into Friday, looking at showers arriving by the afternoon. It'll be slightly warmer with a high of 45. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
The Fan is live and local with Morning Juice, Caffeinate, and Dominate.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. If you say something with enough confidence, it must be true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
I'll tell you this, this offseason and since the national championship, Ryan Day has certainly behaved as a guy who's the face of the sport, as a guy who has, in the words of LD in the great Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, call. He had call yesterday. He's got call today. He'll have call tomorrow. Ryan Day's got a lot of call right now. He absolutely does. And you think about the hiring of Matt Patricia, you think about the elevation of Brian Hartline. Those are things you do when you have call and when you are one of the faces of the sport. Now, there's a bunch of guys who could have next, and a bunch of guys who are going to be in competition for it. Sark, obviously, on the cusp. He's basically where Ryan was before winning the national championship. He's one of those guys who I think is right there. I think Dan Lanning's right there. But in order to be it, you got to win it all. That has to be it. And then it can't be a one-off. It's got to be consistent greatness, and that's something that Ryan has had here. He's right there. And when you think of college football and you think about the faces that are going to be a part of it and are going to shape it, it's going to be him. It's going to be they're young guys. Kirby's still young. He's a young dude. Ryan's a young dude. Sark, a little older. Lanning's pretty young too, though. So there's a chance for these guys to be here for a while and to be kind of the way that this thing looks going forward. There's nobody – I don't think there's anybody I'd put in the category in terms of power brokers in the sport more than those are the four that come to mind for me, are Ryan, Kirby, Sark, and Lanning. I think they have the combination of ideal brands, fired up alumni bases, pretty locked in on NIL, great recruiting. Those are the things you need, and those programs have it. So I think it's the two SEC programs, and I think it's the two Big Ten programs. And speaking of the Big Ten, there are a bunch of questions that need to be answered this spring around the conference. The Big Ten has won the last two national championships. Of course, Buckeyes this year, team up north the year before. If you think of the questions around this conference heading into spring football, and some of these folks have already started. Spring football is already going at certain places around the country. Buckeyes don't start till a week from Monday. But if you think of those questions, the number one to me starts in Ann Arbor, and it starts with the idea of, is Bryce Underwood good enough to win that job as an 18-year-old? I mean, he's probably the most celebrated football recruit in the history of that program. I think so.
Yeah.
Feels like it to me. I mean, anytime Larry Ellison's wife and Dave Portnoy putting together some cash for you, I don't know that there's anybody. They've had a lot of big recruits. Rashawn Gary, I know, is the number one, but this is a quarterback from Michigan who you flipped.
Yeah, there's no bigger than the quarterback. There's no bigger than the five-star quarterback. Like, there are in any program in the country, gigantic recruits at other positions, but nobody beats the 5-star quarterback in terms of hype, in terms of importance, and especially him being a Michigan guy. The fact that they landed him with the reported NIL offer that they did makes all of this, can an 18-year-old do it? Well, they're paying an 18-year-old to be able to. You better be able to do it. If you're getting paid that much, like that return better be quick.
It's Dylan Raiola, like times, right? I mean, if you think about what Rule did with Raiola this year, I mean, he turned the keys to the kingdom to him. There were certainly some ups and downs, but now people, I was reading Jake Trotter, we had on yesterday, reading his piece this morning on ESPN.com about like all eyes on this, who could be the next Indiana, and we'll get to that in a second, but he mentioned Nebraska and he mentioned Raiola. Matt Rule's banking on that. He's banking on it, quite literally. And so I think the same could happen at Michigan. I know they have other quarterbacks in that room, but I don't know what if he can get up to speed quickly and they can build an offense that eventually I don't know why you would not just go with him and let him go.
And I think that's the thing right there, Bo. He should be the guy by default because their other options don't seem to be that great right now. Whether he can come in and play to the standard that everybody expects for him, that's another thing. But, I mean, he's got to be the guy for them if they want any chance of success.
Have the MIT kids pull up Raiola's year at Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska made the postseason. Michigan's got more overall talent than Nebraska, so they'll be a bowl team. I don't know if they'll be ready to ascend to a college football playoff, but they're going to make a bowl. If he's sublime, well, then they can. But if you just get Raiola's season out of Underwood, that feels like a win to me for them. You're going to have something at Oregon as we're waiting on the Raiola stats. You're going to get something at Oregon that we haven't seen from Lanning in a long time, and that is his own developed quarterback.
So Raiola last year, 2,819 yards, a 67.1 completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
Yeah, that's a freshman. That's what it looks like. So I think that's what you're thinking about for Underwood, is that type of stat line. Now, Dante Moore's in a different spot. He was a 5-star kid, originally went with Chip to UCLA, and then transferred to Oregon, sat behind Dylan Gabriel. Remember, Oregon went Nix, Gabriel. So they were transfer, and now this is Moore's a transfer, but this is going to be his first time playing, is going to be this year. So what can he do? You know how locked in they are in the portal. You know how locked in they are in recruiting. Obviously, the talent's there. How much can he elevate, and how quickly can he get good? In the Big Ten, the only team that really has no questions is Penn State. But they're Penn State.
Right, and that, I don't know if it's so much of a question anymore, just because we're not thinking James Franklin's ever going to get it done in a big moment.
If not now, when?
Yeah. It has to be for Penn State. Like, this is it for them in terms of, I mean, and again, nobody on this program, I think, has any faith that it will be this year for the Nittany Lions, but this is where you've got everything coming together for you. You have a shiny new defensive coordinator, and you've got everybody back from last year's college football semifinal run. But Oregon, and for the Michigan thing, I'll go back to just real quick.
Yeah.
If you have that kind of a season, a Raiola season with Bryce Underwood, you at least have hope for 2027. Or hope for 2026, I guess I should say, in the 2027 national championship. So the build, I think, is important to where he comes in, he starts, because I've never even heard of the guy that they have, Mikey Keene. I've heard of Davis Warren, but I don't know what a Mikey Keene is, and they tell me he's from Central Florida, and I go, boy, if you're getting a Central Florida portal person starting over your $12, $14 million quarterback, there is a large problem.
No. I think that to me it's Raiola. I think Underwood will do. I think that's where we're at. I think they'll go that way, and they just won the national championship 2 years ago. There's a lot of goodwill there. They can lean into this. They needed it in the worst way. They needed Underwood to sign on the line, which is dotted. That was critical for them to land him. Now it's a little bit like a front office who drafts a quarterback at the top of the draft. Now it's about incubating him. It's about putting him in the best position to succeed. But with that also comes patience from a fan base, because eventually the belief is he'll get there. And that's where they are there. They asked the question, who is this year's Indiana? And Fish is going to be pretty excited about this, but there's a lot of Illinois buzz about Bielema at Illinois, that they potentially could be this year's Indiana. A little bit of a buzz for Nebraska as well. I think the one thing that's going to be fascinating this spring and through the summer is going to be fixed spot at Wisconsin. That's the one where he's going into year 3 at Wisconsin. And it hasn't gone well at all. And he is in a spot up there. So those 4 at the top, Buckeyes, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, and then who could slide in there. Some of those questions that we talked about here are going to be ones that are going to go towards that end of what the Big Ten is going to look like by the time we get to fall football. What's college football going to look like going forward? Our athletic director, Ross Bjork, with some pretty damn strong comments on that. We will have that for you in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit. Credit for deciding while stuck in traffic to get a bachelor's degree. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. Students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's. And graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. Flexible online and hybrid classes start March 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid through March 31st. See store for details.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
And today, Pella's excited to announce our 100-year anniversary.
Cut! Leslie, you accidentally said 100 years.
Not an accident, Wilson.
What?
When you do the windows that look the best, you tend to stick around for a while.
I can't compete with that. Buy from her.
Get the windows that have been around for 100 years. The windows that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
And here's what's up on a Thursday edition of the program. Ross Bjork reminds me of a more charming Urban Meyer. And I mean that in the highest form of compliment. When he is asked a direct question, as we've asked him before on this show, and as he was asked this morning on The Juice, he gives you a direct answer. And when he talks, I listen. Because he is one of the power brokers in the sport, and he is going to oversee a fully weaponized Ohio State athletic department, and most especially an Ohio State football program. So it was a fantastic interview with him, with the Juice Boys this morning. Great stuff. Let's start with the changes he would make to the college football playoff.
The format, seeding versus ranking. We just need to seed it based on how it's ranked. If we want to honor conference champions, that's fine, but just rank them accordingly. So it really created a lot of false matchups. It really put, probably, if you think about Oregon and what they had to go through, and they had to play us coming off they sat on the sideline. They had a bye. We got hot, and they're probably thinking, "Oh my gosh, what do we have to face?" So it created, to me, a lot of false matchups. So I think we need to look at the seeding versus ranking, and then if we need to expand further to get maybe automatic qualifying spots, SEC and Big Ten have been pushing for that. That's okay. I think we can be healthy at 14, maybe 16. 16 has some complications based on TV windows and things like that. So definitely happy with expansion. I think we need to look at the seeding versus ranking piece of it. Is there a way to honor conference champions? I'm okay with that piece of it. But the format, I think, was the right thing because, again, think about the run that we went out. Think about the viewership. I mean, almost 80 million people watched all 4 of our games. So there's a lot of attention being being placed on this, but I think we can actually tweak some things and get it right for college football.
That entirety of that answer was 1 minute and 18 seconds. In it was several things that grab my attention. The term false matchups. Right? So that's Arizona State. That's Boise State. That's the Penn State path, right, to the national championship, to the semifinal. That's what that is. That's the false matchups. That's what he's referring to. So he's saying, how do you fix it? You rank them versus seed them. Yeah, you can have an automatic bid, but we're not giving the buys to the 4 highest ranked conference champions. We're giving the buys to the 4 highest ranked teams. Now, the beautiful mess of college football is the ranking is completely subjective. It's just, whether it's the Associated Press or whether it's these folks at the College Football Playoff Committee, it's an entirely subjective process. So that subjectiveness typically favors us. It's going to favor the Big Ten. It's going to favor the SEC. So I think we all clamored for that. When we saw that bracket, we went, wait, what? This is, and I know we talked about this in the moment, and Reese, I remember talking about it. We talked about it a lot. I don't think people who don't do this every day had any idea what was coming. I really don't. I think they thought, wait, 1 through 4 aren't getting buys? I think it was shocking to the casual sports fan, that it wasn't seeded 1 through 12. And I think that was an eye-opener for people.
Yeah, I feel like even up until that Selection Sunday, you had a good portion of college football fans going, what happened? What is Arizona State doing? Mm-hmm. Why are they in this? And then you go, well, because, they won the Big 12. Oh, they're in the Big 12. Wait, how does that work out then? How does Penn State have that path? Like, it was never really properly explained, because every week you had them kind of changing the rules.
Well, the other thing is like the notion that Penn State had an easier path than the team that beat them in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, the Oregon got the murderer's row.
Penn State got to face SMU at home and then play Boise State in the quarterfinals to get to play Notre Dame in the semifinal. And Oregon sat there and then had to play us.
Yeah, I think that was the most egregious thing of all of it, is the path that the unquestioned at the time, right, number 1 team in the country had to go through. Like, even if they would have beat Ohio State, then they got Texas, and I just think that was the what happened to Oregon and all this, I think, is the biggest misgiving.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. So they'll get that fixed. The other thing that was really illuminating in that for me was when he said 14 is pretty easy, 16 gets complications. But did you take note of what he said the complications were?
The National Football League.
Television windows. TV windows. So they're looking at a 16-gamer and they're going, okay, that's 8 games that we're going to have to play over a weekend. Where are we going to play them? What windows are we going to play them in? This goes back to something I've talked about a lot. It's time for Greg Sankey, Tony Petitti to get in front of Roger Goodell and say, we got to make this work. How can we make this work? Because if you're playing 8 games, you play 1 Friday, you play 3 Saturday, that's 4. You play 3 on Sunday. No, you can't do that. Can't go against the NFL. You can't play Monday. So you're going to have to play them probably Thursday night, Friday night would play 2, and then you'd have to play 6 games Saturday. So you're going to go head-to-head against yourself on those Saturdays if you go to 16. But that's the type of that's a complication that I didn't think of absolutely when the idea of going to 16 comes about. It's easier to fit in 4 games in a first round versus 8. And even 4 is a challenge. Hell, they're on Turner. They're not even on normal partners because the normal partners are locked in with what they're doing. So there's that part of it too. So all of this is happening because there is this gross chunk of revenue that's coming in. And Ross was asked about that by the fellas as well in terms of the revenue earned from the CFP. Here's his answer to that.
What did Coach Day say? Champagne problems? Congratulations, you won a national championship. Now, it costs more money. You've got to keep investing, all those kind of things. But no, we'll take those champagne problems for sure. You know, we will have an ancillary impact of increased revenue that we did not budget for. We'll make a little money on the home football playoff game. There's licensing revenue. There's things like that. We actually had some ticket fee revenue that we'll make through the playoffs. We receive a stipend, a travel stipend, to go to the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl. We pretty much max out. It's it's expensive. It's expensive to fly on these planes and the meals and those kind of things. So that's kind of a wash. And then there will be an uptick in Big Ten distribution based on the fact that you had those 8 units. The Big Ten always budgets for kind of a moderate amount. We exceeded that, so there'll be an uptick in Big Ten revenue for this year. But to your point, that gets spread. Purdue will make the same money that we made in terms of that Big Ten distribution. So there will be an impact. And then you have the trailing effect. Fundraising, ticket sales. Right now, our renewal rate is over 90%.
That line.
Take a shot at Purdue there.
That line is awesome. That's awesome. Because for the longest time, I've thought that Ohio State was too good of a partner. They were too good. They were too kind, too nice, too willing to share. This is the athletic director at Ohio State saying Purdue's going to get the same cut we're going to get. And this is coming off the heels of what we saw in the ACC, where enhanced revenue goes to the big boys. And I am certain that the next time we get a media rights deal in the Big Ten, you will see a tiered, weighted system that separates the haves from the have-nots. Because it's ludicrous that Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, that they lift this conference the way that they do without being incentivized a little bit more. And he said it. He said it flat out. One more thing I want to get to here, and then I want to get into the new governing entity. We'll get into that coming up next. This is something we've beaten the door down for a long time, and that's the calendar. Here's Ross Bjork on the calendar.
Football calendar, we need some major changes. When do we start the season? I think can be moved up a week. There's no reason that some years you're starting on August 30th, and then the next year you're starting on September the 5th. We need to fix the calendar based on the number of weeks. We need 2 bye weeks into the season. Could we move up the start of the playoffs, perhaps? Right? You got to look at that. So I think we started class on January 6th. We had 2 games after we started class here at Ohio State. So again, just the overall calendar. I don't think we need to finish next year. I think we finish right around the 24th or 25th of January.
Yeah, the Vegas game is really late.
So to me, we need to at least move it up at least a week, the overall calendar. I think we can adjust the playoff format. Can you have 7 or 8 days in between versus 10? So there's a lot of things, but finding those TV windows, matching up against the NFL, that's a trick. And we need to make sure we get that right because it is a behemoth. And we need to make sure that our viewership is strong and the windows are strong. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. The commissioners are working on it. We're providing ideas. But the football calendar, we shouldn't have signing day in the middle of all of this, right? Now we have the transfer portal. When does the transfer portal fit in? So if you actually took January 1st to December 31st, we can make this a lot better, and we need to really start to go to work on that now.
If you're watching on the YouTube stream, I'm weeping right now with joy because this, I think it's very clear. I think we can assume, Reese, that Ross listens to this show. That's basically what we've laid out. I mean, I laid that out exactly that way 2 months ago. Exactly that way. That's exactly it. That's the fix. That solves it. It's not hard. You just need to play a little ball with the NFL. But that fixes a lot of it. If they just go through the things that Ross Bjork just mentioned right there. That fixes a lot of the issues. Now, there's another big issue that he addressed in terms of how this sport is going to be governed. We will get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan.
No matter where you are, Coughlin is there, in store or online. CoughlinCars.com. 13 new car brands, over 1,000 pre-owned vehicles, 16 convenient locations for sales, service, and parts, plus 4 state-of-the-art collision centers. CoughlinCars.com. Shop locally owned, CoughlinCars.com. Coughlin has the car for you.
We've all got it, you know, that one crazy thing you've always wanted to do, that bucket list goal. Then a cancer diagnosis, and that one thing still goes according to plan. I would know. I'm getting my first tattoo right now, while my 3 beautiful daughters laugh hysterically at me. 58 years old, 4 years of cancer-free checkups at Ohio Health. Go ahead and get a picture, girls. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keepmakingplans. Break.
Ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. TNCs apply.
Miss, your burger is served.
Thank you.
And if I may suggest a pairing, this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. The sweetness of Pepsi perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger, while the citrus and carbonation elevates the taste for a truly stunning flavor profile. Bon appetit.
Now that is one perfect combination. If this is how the other half lives, I could get used to this. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
At NJM Insurance, we like to think of ourselves as a symphony. We start with a foundation of doing the right thing. Then we layer in dedicated reps whose priority is you. Add in excellent discount programs. And last, but certainly not least, we put our policyholders first. And the reason we don't use jingles or mascots is because it's just not us. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right now, 80% lean ground beef is on sale. 3-pound packages are only $3.99 a pound with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Jake Diebler's Buckeyes hit the road for a Big Ten battle with Indiana.
Live fan coverage starts Saturday at 2:45.
Every game, every season, proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text KING to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text KING to 42424. That's KING to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Airflow Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
I mean, this is pretty good from Tyler on social. Am I listening Bjork or Bo being interviewed by Carp? He obviously is a listener and is stealing all your ideas. If he starts calling Wednesday First Friday, I'm going to need to see a pic of you two together to prove you're different dudes. It's all stuff we've talked about. Listen, I'm not reinventing the wheel with all of these things that we've talked about through the last couple of years. This is common sense stuff. It's not that difficult. It's not revolutionary. It's common sense. some of this stuff is an easy fix. And when you have people who are smart, who are weaponizing their power the way Ross Bjork is, then you can get things done. Now, the things that are simple are changing the calendar, getting the seating right for the college football playoff, distributing that revenue. That's pretty simple, honestly. The most complicated thing there is fitting it in the television windows. But everything else that he talked about, things we've talked about, those are easy fixes. This next one is not. This isn't easy at all. But this was the most bold I've heard on this from someone of Ross's, from his spot, someone with that type of power. And he was on with the fellas on Morning Juice this morning, Tito and Bob, and talked about a new governing entity in college football.
There is going to be a new entity that is being created right now, as we speak, that the autonomy for conferences will oversee and govern. And if you opt into the house case settlement rules of engagement, and you will revenue share, and you have roster limits, there'll be a new entity that will govern the revenue share cap. It will govern NIL. It will have rules of enforcement on if you violate the cap. Here's what that means. If you do an NIL third-party agreement that doesn't meet the clearinghouse standards, that could be a violation. If you pay under the table, like the old school days, right? Those things could be violations. So there's going to be things that are housed in this A4 entity that are rules. There'll be things that are still left kind of on the NCAA side. How that merges and how that bridges, those mechanics are being worked out right now. There's no question that we have to be governed differently at the A4 level, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12. What that looks like, the mechanics around that, there is a lot of work. I'm actually on a subgroup working on the enforcement piece of this. How do penalties get decided? Who decides that? All of those things are being baked in right now, but we have to go fast because the clock's ticking. July 1st is going to be here.
July 1st is the date where the revenue share comes, upwards of $20 million that'll be shared. There are so many potholes. I mean, it's like 315 north or 70 west through Indiana. I mean, it's Frogger trying to avoid these potholes. There are so many hitches in the giddy-up that could stop this thing from getting to go. A couple of things jump out to me. I'd never heard Autonomy 4 before. So that instead of, remember, it's Power 5 forever, so now it's A4 is how they're referring to those. So that's a new one on me. I'm not so sure that the Big 12 and the ACC should be getting a full seat at this table based on the health of those two conferences, but I think they're probably going to try and play nice. I think the real hitch here is going to be this. When you start telling an athlete that they can only, if they try to financially cap what you can make in NIL, that's where you're going to get into problems. That's where the problems start. The other problem that I see coming down the road for this is how do they navigate revenue sharing in athletic departments where, especially one like this one that is so big, where you have so many loss leaders. How do you spread the football wealth amidst 36 sports while giving football what is required for them? It's just pretty simple. Like, you are more behind the eight ball here than you would be at Texas because of the lack of sports, than you would be at Georgia, than you would be at Oregon. They don't have 36 sports at those places. They don't. So how are you going to spread that around? I do think that the governing power in the United States right now is going to allow for a lot more of this to get done than it would have in a previous administration. So I think that they are going to be able to ramrod some stuff through here. But I think those questions that I have in terms of the revenue share amongst all the athletes, because remember, they don't want to treat football players different. They want them to be student athletes for whatever that's worth. And they definitely don't want them to be employees. So from their perspective, and I'm not talking about Ross Bjork, I'm just talking about powerful people in the sport in general, they view a women's softball player the same as a men's football player. That's their whole gimmick, is that, even though those things are not the same. But that's how they're viewing it, right? So they don't want to call them athletes. They don't want to call them employees. So how are they going to distribute that? That's a big one. And then any sort of limit they try to put on NIL, Ross said in that answer, the old under the table, there is no under the table. It's all on top of the table now. I mean, NIL was supposed to be, here's what you get for your name, image, and likeness. And what it is here's financially a bunch of money for you to sign here or stay here or transfer to here. I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle. So those things don't change for me.
I think it's important, I think, to have that April 7th date, that Monday, April 7th date, as a little bit more clarity into everything that you're talking about. Maybe you get some, or maybe more questions arise. That's when Judge Claudia Wilkin is going to hold a final approval hearing for the House versus NCAA settlement. And so then maybe you get a better sense of how it's going to work with the autonomy for a group. I guess we got to call it something better than that, but I'm sure that's one of the many things that they're workshopping. I think it's going to be an uncomfortable academic year, this next one at Ohio State. I wonder, with everything that you've said and everything that we've kind of been discussing over the past couple of years, where you look at 36 sports and you go, how long is that sustainable? Especially with what's coming April 7th and then what will come July 1. And even after April 7th, does that guarantee lawsuits not be filed by whatever parties think they can get something else out of this? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows until it happens. So April 8th, how does this look? And then July 2, how does this look?
Yeah, right.
It was the same thing with sports gambling. It was the same thing with NIL. The day after, how does this look? I don't know.
The revenue sharing is going to be interesting because there's part of me that feels like they come out and say, okay, this is how much you get. You've got to split it all up. And then if you're a school, you have to figure out like how many sports you want to have and whatnot with that. So it's kind of interesting with that. On the other hand, I mean, it's like the wild, wild west now. It's almost like a thing to me where with the NIL, the colleges need to be out of it and just let these guys have agents and have their agents work out all of their deals and get all of their NIL money. Because I don't think this collective form that we have now is sustainable in the long run. We've talked about that. Like, when do these guys run out of money with having to give money for buildings and players and just paying for everything? So I don't know. It seems like the easiest way with that would just be have the schools get out of it.
So it's actually going the opposite way because schools are going to take a greater involvement with the collectives. I think as you get as you add on revenue sharing, because
they want to control all the money. They want to reverse engineer what this was to begin with. They want to control all the money and decide who they give to what. But this goes back to a question just got on social from Vegas Bucks. So Ohio State will axe will Ohio State axe 15 sports to make things fair?
That's the uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah. That's the reality of it, is that it's not a good business model to keep doing what they've been doing. We'll get into this with Paul coming up at 10:30. Coming up next, your emails, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
You're invited to Circle K's Inner Circle Members Celebration. On March 6th, Inner Circle members across Columbus will get an exclusive 40 cents off per gallon from 6 a.m. until 11:59 p.m. Want to join the party? Just download the Circle K app and create an account to join Inner Circle. Don't miss your chance to save 40 cents off per gallon on March 6th all day. Sign up now. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit the Circle K app for details.
At Diamonds Direct, our experts go the extra mile to ensure you have the tools to say I do with absolute confidence. Our promise to you is a completely risk-free shopping experience rooted in transparency, education, and integrity. No pressure, no intimidation, just clarity and confidence in your purchase. But we're about more than just price. Everything is backed by our exclusive guarantees. Put our tools to the test against any competitor, and our expert staff will ensure you get the very best overall value and unforgettable experience. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
If you're like most Americans, you've racked up tens of thousands in credit card debt. You're stuck with 20% interest fees, and even the monthly payments, well, they're hard to make. It's insane. Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. The good news is that there is a way out. AFLcash.com. That's AFLcash.com. Advantage First Lending. They specialize in fast, easy access to the equity in your home. Most homeowners have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their home equity. That's your money. AFLcash.com can get it out for you with zero junk fees and zero hassle. You can pay off all those credit cards in just a matter of days. Pay off your car loans too. Cut your monthly expenses by $800 or even $900. I'm telling you, the relief you need, well, it's right there at your fingertips. AFLcash.com or call 844-394-CASH. That's 844-394-CASH. Break out of the credit card debt prison with AFLcash.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1209177. Subject to lender approval. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Evan Cohen here. Picking a place to build a life is a lot like selecting a draft pick. Make a decision that will set you up for long-term success. Pick Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, you'll find dynamic career opportunities, beautiful seasons, affordable living, and legendary weekends. From its high quality of life and great schools to its fine arts, culinary, and pro sports scenes, Wisconsin gives you so much to look forward to. That's why you should pick Wisconsin. Learn more about making Wisconsin your home. Visit pickwisconsin.com.
At the Home Depot, it's our business to support yours. Partner with your go-to source for building your business. We can help you streamline your operations by supplying the whole job from start to finish. Any questions? Our Pro Desk is ready to answer the call with supply sourcing, custom orders, large equipment rentals, and more. Elevate your efficiency and take on more projects with the partner you can trust. The Home Depot. How pros get more done.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reese. This update sponsored by Whiskey War by High Bank Distillery. Drink local, drink High Bank. Ohio State begins spring football on Monday, March 17th. That's 2 weeks later than previous seasons. Earlier today, Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork joined Morning Juice and says the entire college football season might need to start earlier than ever before.
To me, we need to at least move it up at least a week. The overall calendar, I think we can adjust the playoff format. Can you have 7 or 8 days in between versus 10? So there's a lot of things, but finding those TV windows matching up against the NFL, that's a trick. And we need to make sure we get that right because it is a behemoth. And we need to make sure that our viewership is strong and the windows are strong.
In the NHL tonight, the Blue Jackets are at the Panthers. Face-off from Florida is 7 o'clock. You can hear Blue Jackets hockey and breaking sports news as it happens, all on the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
10 feet tall and bulletproof isn't just a saying, it's a way of life. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, second hour here on a Thursday. We're going to have this college football conversation with Paul Finebaum coming up in 28 minutes. Right now, time to have the conversation with you. Let's open up the mailbag.
Our comment box is always open. Any feedback is mostly appreciated.
The mail never stops. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There's never a let-up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you got to get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in. Again.
Bishop and Friends present emails.
All right, let's start with this one. This one, hot off the presses, just came in the last 5 minutes from our buddy Chuck. The subject is playoffs. He writes, you're talking about teams getting into the playoff in terms like rankings and seedings. What did the Buckeyes just do? They won the title. It was unanimous. They had the toughest path. Here we are talking about playoff expansion. We went from 4 to where we are because teams and fans were saying it wasn't fair with just 4 because teams were being left out. So now what's going on? Teams and fans are talking about rankings and seedings. But you can't have it both ways. If you feel that you're good enough to get there, you were left out in the past. With expansion now, you are in, and you want to cry about who has the easiest or toughest path. If you really feel you deserve to be there, then go and do what the Buckeyes did and win. Great show. Love you guys. All the best, Chuck. Yeah, sure. It worked out for Ohio State this year. It absolutely did. But here's the deal. We're viewing this from the scarlet and gray perspective. If you view this from the Oregon perspective, you go, man, how did Penn State, who lost to us, get that path, and we got this one? Like, they would swap absolutely. And here's the other part about Ohio State winning the national title, Chuck, and this is part about being the big bully on the block and being the big behemoth. You get to write the rules going forward. The winners write the history, they say. Well, in the college football playoff, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to write the rules. They're going to write rules that benefit them. That's the thing we've learned in all of this. Fascinating stuff from Ross Street today. Go ahead, Big.
I was just going to say, and that goes back to no matter what you do, somebody's always going to be unhappy, right? Like you said, Bo, we're happy because it worked for us. So we got in and we won. Yeah. Ohio State won this year. Oregon, maybe not so happy here. Maybe Texas. Maybe they're not happy because they would have been ranked higher and maybe they wouldn't have had to play Ohio State that early or whatnot. There's always going to be somebody that's upset no matter what you do.
Here's what they're going to do, though. They're going to make sure that the people who are upset the least going forward are the most powerful entities in the sport. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to worry so much about pleasing Arizona State and Boise State. They're going to make sure Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, they're pleased. Last week we were talking about the Stadium Series game as one of the biggest sports moments we've ever had here in Central Ohio. Got an email from Mike. This is a good one. Subject, the 87 Ryder Cup and the Concorde. He writes, the European team flew to Columbus on the Concorde. On Monday or Tuesday, the Concorde did a flyover every hole at Muirfield Village. There was no warning of this. I was the golf course superintendent and was standing on the 5th and heard this rumble from the south. I thought it was the War of the Worlds movie. Here came the Concorde straight down the middle of the 5 fairway, left turned up 6 fairway, and on and on. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. It was a feeling of a lifetime. And then what an event. First Ryder Cup to have 25,000 people each day. It put the Ryder Cup on the map. Mike McBride, Muirfield Village Superintendent, 1985 to 2004. That's awesome. Can you imagine being him that day? Do you even know what the Concorde is?
Fast
Do you guys
plane?
know what it is?
Like a real fast plane? Like a super fast plane?
Yeah. And it was Europe. I don't know if it still even exists, but the whole deal was you could get from New York to London in no time was the idea of it. Cool looking plane, but it was a big deal back then.
I'd have to go back and find it, but someone says that they grew up, and we might have read this last week, but someone said that they grew up near Muirfield, and when the European team won that Ryder Cup, they partied all night, and they remember hearing it from their house.
Yeah, I think we got that in a, hey guys, I think I do remember that was part of it.
But that's a bonkers weekend.
That is. I think that's pretty up there, man. That's wild. This one from loyal listener John. Gentlemen, Reese mentioned he enjoyed the flyover at the Stadium Series game, but didn't know the aircraft. The big one was a KC-135 a flying gas station from the 121st Air Refueling Ring in Rickenbacker. The two smaller jets were F-16s from the 180th Fighter Wing in Toledo. The coolest part is that these are both Ohio National Guard units participating in this stuff. Shout out to the National Guard. The National Guard's involvement has me thinking. The Field Artillery Regiment is headquartered in Delaware. I could see an M19 howitzer sitting in Nationwide to supplement the cannon. Here's a point of reference for you, and he actually sent a link. Who wouldn't love to see one of these puppies used? What do you think? Can we get the MIT kids on it? Your great friend John. I will try.
So dope. That was such a cool moment, seeing those planes fly over, and I'd like to go back to that. I'd like to do Saturday over again, please.
I always, when you're there for something like that, it always amazes me and makes me appreciate the difference in the speed of sound and the speed of sight, because they go right over top of you, and then 2 or 3 seconds later, you hear the...
Montana used to have a bunch of nuclear missile silos because it's rural. And as a kid, regularly, we would get B-2, B-52 bombers that would fly over, and you would see them, and then you would hear the boom. A lot of times they'd break the sound barrier, so you'd hear the boom that would happen after it. That you want to feel small, that works for the feel small. John also closed the window on the Sweet Sisters Donuts, and he did tweet that to us, so I appreciate it on the Sweet Sisters Donuts. So next time on that stretch of road, I'm in for that. All right, this one from Anthony. Hey, Bo, been listening to you and others on The Fan for years. You guys do a great job. Feel like I know NBC and Beamsy. But Shane Gillis, seriously, Bo, you really blanked the bet on that one. That guy isn't funny at all. He's a complete idiot moron. Please, for the love of God and all that we hold close, never, ever bring that unfunny human blank up in the air again. Thanks, Bo. Just looking out for you. That's strong. I don't know. I think the funny's subjective, right? I don't know. I thought he did a good job on SNL.
I think SNL was great, but I also think part of the appeal for Shane Gillis is that he's an idiot.
I don't think he's an idiot at all. Like, he got into West Point. So
no, I'm not saying he's stupid, but I think part of the appeal,
the gimmick,
is the gimmicks. He's an oaf.
Yeah, that probably hits. I think he's probably doing some stuff that... I think he's probably crazy like a fox. Or oafish like a fox, if you want. I think he's kind of got it sorted out. But I didn't... Yeah, a lot of vitriol there. I thought he did a good job on SNL. Finally, this one from Greg. The Combine was amazing is the subject. Good morning, fellas. While I am very glad that I didn't take your advice, the Combine did not disappoint our family this weekend. So he asked me if I should take a family, and I said no. Everything started on Friday night. We were driving into downtown Indy, and our oldest son spotted the Dallas Cowboy bus. I quickly pulled over our car behind the Cowboys bus and knocked on the door to ask if we could get a picture with Jerry. Stephen Jones answered the door, because of course he did, me parenthetically, and said Jerry was busy but returned with the Jerry Jones autographed Cowboys hat for the two boys. That's unbelievable.
Wow.
That's crazy. My wife had no idea who Jerry was until the Google machine revealed to her, hey, that's the guy from Landman. Perfect. On Saturday, we went to the Combine while my wife went shopping, and we sat with 3 former Buckeye wide receivers. Sunday, we watched the O-linemen compete. There's nothing more impressive than a 350-pound man running the 40-yard dash in 5 seconds. Outside the Combine, the NFL has an entire camp set up with everything that players do. 40-yard dash, vertical jump, obstacle course, bench press, agility test. I highly suggest next year that you take your boys to the Combine. It was amazing. My question for the fellas is, being a proud Chicagoan, if the Bears build a dome, could Chicago land the Combine? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Of course. Of course Chicago could. This makes me rethink it. I have these conversations. My wife and I have these conversations all the time. Has some of this stuff just become old hat for me that I don't think about the impact that it would have on the kids? And I think that's probably something I do too much, that maybe there is more to it. My favorite part about the Combine is seeing the downtown Indianapolis in my rear view. That's my favorite part. That's it.
And going to Uranus Fudge.
Next year. But I guess I can acknowledge that there is another side of it that could be pretty dang cool. And the idea that Stephen Jones answered the door on Jerry Jones's bus no doubt made my day. That he's basically his dad's butler. at like mid-60s. That's that image of Jerry like having no patience waiting for him on the chopper on Hard Knocks is I'll never forget. I mean, it's as good as it gets. Speaking of the NFL, a lot of news, a very busy NFL over the last 24 hours, including a Buckeye legend being handed his walking papers. We'll have that for you. And if there's a hint of a reunion in Cleveland for Joe Flacco, that's all coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
We've lowered prices. You can save 15% or more on hundreds of items like Thomas Mini Bagels, Campbell's SpaghettiOs, and more. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Well, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, as Care grew over the years, you had many opportunities to sell Care to one of the big conglomerates that are buying companies all over Central Ohio. So tell our customers why you decided to keep Care in the family.
After talking about Care's values for over 30 years, I couldn't bear the thought of Care becoming the kind of company I was warning our customers about. I know the two of you will continue to treat our customers as I would, with honesty and integrity.
We will, Dad. In 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
This is the White Castle Call of the Crave, and it can happen anytime, even right now. So for a limited time, go get your hands on crispy shrimp nibblers. Only at White Castle. Follow your crave. Limited time only.
Ready to be the change and have a positive impact on your community? Consider joining the Columbus Division of Police. Starting pay is $70,000 plus, growing to 6 figures after 4 years of service. We offer paid vacations, paid holidays, and health insurance. Do you aspire to complete your degree? We offer 100% tuition reimbursement after you complete your first year of service. Contact the CPD recruiting unit at jobs@columbuspolice.org or apply online at columbus.gov/government/jobs. The City of Columbus is an equal opportunity employer.
At NJM Insurance, we're like a symphony. It all starts by doing the right thing. Add in dedicated reps and put policyholders first. But no jingles or mascots because it's just not us. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
All of our local shows have been ranked in the top 10 in the country by our industry peers, except for Timmy Hall and the Buckeye Show. I was going to make a joke about it, but it's more sad than anything. Poor Timmy, the Fan.
There's endless possibilities. There's billions of books out there, so there's no limit to what I can read.
The reason why I love reading is because I get to see different perspectives of other people's lives.
Reading age-appropriate books by diverse authors with diverse viewpoints opens the world for young readers and helps them find their own voice. Join the Ohio Education Association in celebrating Read Across America all year round to help create a nation of diverse readers ready for the future.
Feeling the aches and pains of everyday life slowing you down? Introducing Blue Emu, America's #1 emu oil formula for pain relief. In a recent clinical trial, 91% of users saw improvement after using Blue Emu. Whether you're working hard, playing harder, or just staying active, Blue Emu penetrates deep to relieve joint and muscle pain fast. And best of all, you won't stink. Join the 91% who felt the difference. Find Blue Emu at your local retailer or online. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
It is cold and windy out there today. We are looking at winds gusting as high as 35 miles per hour. Today's high temperature 39, peaks of sunshine expected later this afternoon. Cold tonight with a low of 29. Rain is back by Friday afternoon with a high of 45. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
When that alarm clock goes off, Morning Juice comes on. The perfect way to dominate your day or just lay around the house. Morning Juice.
Weekdays at 6.
The Fan. Keep your friends close and your producers closer. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And as always, we are brought to you and sponsored by great friends at Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The NFL is busy. Legal tampering begins Monday. Everyone is trying to clear cap space before the new league year, which I think starts a week from yesterday. So this is going to be busy time. We saw it yesterday, the retirement of Sam Hubbard. Another former Buckeye great was not retiring, but rather released. The Chargers released defensive end Joey Bosa. I know that there was whispers of that. It just felt like he was such a monster part of all that they are. But he has been released in order for them to free up some cap space and probably get Justin Herbert some weapons. So that's the idea there. Out of Cleveland, Joel Bitonio is not retiring, so he will be returning for his 12th NFL season. The Seattle wide receiver room, no Lockett, and DK Metcalf has been given. They're going to explore a trade for DK Metcalf as he has requested a trade from Seattle, and now he's going to try to find a landing spot for him. All the while, Max Crosby gets a 3-year, $106.5 million extension. We talk about that one. Why? Because it's the highest non-paid quarterback contract in history. Two guys that we pay attention to locally are going to take very close attention to that. Jamar Chase down in Cincinnati, who's going to want to usurp that with his new contract in terms of the guarantees and in terms of the average per season. And Myles Garrett, he's the other one that's going to want to usurp that, probably quickly. So those two are something to pay attention to in regard to the Crosby deal there. The other thing that happened today in regard to the Browns, they restructured Deshaun Watson's deal again to create more cap space for them. This is what happens when you have liquid ownership that has straight cash, homie. So when you have that, you can do this and create cap space. This is the thing that the Bengals don't have. They don't have that type of liquidity, and so they are unable to kind of cheat the system the way that the Browns are able to kind of cheat the system. There will still be a penalty for this, and the penalty is why it's so difficult to trade Myles Garrett right now, even if they wanted to. But the reality is they can continue to find cap space. Another team that found cap space was the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. They restructured Dak Prescott's deal after restructuring CeeDee Lamb's deal. Jerry said yesterday that this doesn't necessarily mean that they're going big fishing in free agency, but there is one thing, and this is, I guess, a third guy that's paying attention to the Max Crosby deal, Micah Parsons, rather. So Micah Parsons will want to reset that market as well. So my guess is the restructure of Dak comes with that.
Wouldn't Trey Hendrickson also be sitting there going like, oh, they're paying that for a pass rusher?
Yeah, for sure. His age is the only thing. He's 31. So that's I don't know that he has. I think the guys who want to jump past this threshold from Crosby would be Parsons, Jamar, and Myles. I think those are the ones that are going to usurp. On the Bitonio front, I think that Joel wanted. This isn't pay attention to the scores, but just human nature. My hunch is he wanted to know what the plan was for next year, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be part of 5-12 or 4-13 or 3-14. So the plan that must have been told to him had to be one that he believes in. And so if that's a quarterback at 2 and then a veteran, or whatever that is, it's something obviously that Joel Bitonio paid attention to. Now, one of those veterans, a name that was brought up, and Shefty's on with AR and Matty Ice every week, but this was on the Adam Schefter podcast, a veteran quarterback who could fit in Cleveland. Here's Schefter.
How about Joe Flacco, who's already led the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs 2 years ago? And there were people in the organization that wanted to keep him. He wanted to play. They let him go because there was some division there. He went to Indianapolis, went fine. But Joe Flacco back to Cleveland could be the perfect bridge quarterback for when Cleveland drafts a quarterback. I expect to be high. So you have Flacco as the potential starter or the rookie if he's ready. Flacco's a great guy to have in the locker room. I think Joe Flacco could be in play in Cleveland.
Yeah. I agree.
Sensational.
I think he could be. I think that Joe Flacco's month of December, and it was really just a month of December, his month of December was probably as much joy that a Browns fan has had since the Baker year, the first year with Stefanski, and part of Baker's rookie year. Like, those are the high watermarks since the return.
Can confirm I will see your Baker and raise you the Peyton Hillis flash. In terms of joy for Browns fans, like that's where the Flacco thing ranks for me because I didn't have to think about Deshaun Watson.
Well, so what that last part you just said is probably the only way that this can get done. And this isn't anything reinventing the wheel. Deshaun Watson retore his Achilles in December. He's not playing football in 2025. Can't do it. Not a doctor. Don't play one on TV. But an Achilles is an Achilles. And you don't come back for that, especially after you've tore it twice over the course of a couple months. So Flacco loved Cleveland. Cleveland loved Flacco. He brought such a sense of professionalism, leadership, franchise quarterback type, even though he's in the sunset of his career. There was just a professionalism with him. Now, he did all the things Flacco does. Like, he threw a bunch of deep balls. He threw a bunch of picks. I think sometimes we forget about that, but he threw a ton of interceptions. But because of the way he handled his business and because of the big games that were happening down the field, it's almost like he kind of looked past that a little bit. But I think he'd be perfect. I think he'd be exactly what the doctor ordered. I think he sees the game similar as Kevin, and if that's the offense that they're going to build upon, whether it's Cam Ward at 2 or Shedeur Sanders at 2, I think Flacco would kind of be perfect for that.
And back to your point, if you're Joel Bitonio, you can get on board with that. You can say, I'd be here for that. Is that at least they can sit there if they're in that locker room with Joe Flacco and Jerry Jeudy, and you have a rookie quarterback at 2, and you have the offensive line stay healthy, and you have a defense that may or may not include Myles Garrett, but could still be competitive. You can talk yourself into a good offseason could get me 7 or 8 wins, and why the hell not? We couldn't push this thing. Now I'm talking just from a locker room's position, and that's where I think Joel Bitonio would come from this, if that is kind of the plan they presented to him.
And the great thing with Flacco is you don't have to worry about the locker room. Some of these guys would come in and they wouldn't want to help a rookie quarterback or this or that, but you know Joe Flacco is going to be that guy. I think you used the word there, Bo, professional. He's going to be a true professional, and he's going to help out. And just speaking of Schefter, how great was it yesterday when he's literally on air with Maddie and AR, and you hear the ding of his phone, and then he's like, oh, yeah, the Seahawks are releasing Tyler Lockett.
Yeah. Well, wasn't he doing that? Wasn't he auctioning off his phone for like St. Bonaventure NIL?
A couple of them, yeah.
A
like
bunch of phones.
You could pay like $900 for the phone that broke the NBA is closing down for COVID news.
I guess there's a value for that somewhere. No, I think this plan makes a lot of sense, and I think you're pretty smart, Reese, to connect the dots to Joel Bitonio. I don't know if it necessarily will be Flacco, absolutely. Who knows? There's many a slip betwixt a cup and a lip, but they will bring in a pro veteran. It's going to have to be at a minimum, but they will bring somebody in there in that room. I think it's possible. I think it's really possible that they could bring in 3 quarterbacks. I think they could draft one. I think they will draft one at 2. I think they'll sign a veteran, and they have 2 thirds. I wouldn't be surprised if that second third or an early 4th was a quarterback who slips, who's got some traits, right? You do wonder about that. If there is, I mean, I'm not sure they're crazy about somebody like Quinn Ewers, but if there is a quarterback who's got a little bit of pedigree and has slipped in the draft, maybe that's Will Howard, maybe it's Dylan Gabriel, something like that, who all of a sudden finds himself available in the 4th round, I think that they would swing at that too. And I think they should. I think you should keep drafting them, signing them until you have one. Because everything else is a start and stop. You run into a concrete ceiling every time unless you have that quarterback situated.
You give me a Browns quarterback room as a fan with Joe Flacco, Will Howard, and Cam Ward / Shedeur Sanders. And I don't know if there's a guy who there's a Browns fan that wouldn't take that.
There's the business side of it too.
Like, that's an inexpensive and also potentially fun quarterback room.
It's an organization that's trying to build a stadium. It's an organization coming off of one of the most disappointing years, right? What gives you the shot in the arm like what we just are talking about? You want a shot in the arm.
Hope.
Quarterback. Yeah, damn right, hope. Quarterback at 2, Flacco, quarterback in the 3rd or 4th. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens there. That's the shot in the arm. And that was a wild 24 hours in the NFL, guys. That was wild. Like, if you just go on ESPN's homepage and just read the NFL headlines, it's nuts the last 24 hours. People trying to get aligned for next week.
Do you think it was like that whole thing was choreographed yesterday? The whole thing for the NFL yesterday to just thrust themselves back into the spotlight.
I think, Reese, it's maybe, but I think the bigger issue is everybody wants to be locked in and organized by Monday for legal tampering. And you have to know your plan. You have to know your plan, and there's so many quarterbacks that are available and so many quarterback-needy teams. You have to know your plan before you get to the draft. You have to know it before you get to free agency. So I think people are just trying to get organized and get locked in, so next week when it's go time, there's nothing inhibiting them from doing so. That's my guess. It's wild, though. That was a wild 24 hours in the National Football League. Paul Finebaum in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops. Receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're going to need a bigger recycling bin.
Easy Cater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Oh, that's a lot of glitter paint.
Let's trade lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com/iPhone for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Getting great deals at Meijer on the items your family loves makes shopping a good deal better. This week, plump and juicy red seedless grapes are $1.29 a pound. Certified Angus beef ground beef from Chuck is just $4.99 a pound. Purple Cow 48-ounce ice cream and frozen yogurt and select varieties of frozen novelties are just $2.99. And 12 packs of Coca-Cola or Pepsi products are buy two, get one free, plus deposit where applicable. Get more and save more at Meijer. That's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in store or in the Meijer app.
1-800-GOT-JUNK makes space for possibilities.
When our clean, shiny truck arrives, it's the sign of a new beginning, a clean start, a breath of fresh air.
All the animals start giggling, a rainbow appears, and music fills the air.
Your best friend calls with happy news. Every table has fresh flowers on it, and your nights are full of candlelight.
We bring the springtime.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution specialists. Bishop and Friends present college football's most polarizing figure.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Come on back to our show, Tim. The audience hates you.
This is ESPN's Paul Finebaum, sponsored by the Roofing Guys. For all your roofing, siding, and gutter needs, contact the Roofing Guys at theroofingguys.com.
All right, it is a Thursday at 10:30, the time we visit with our good buddy Paul Finebaum, the Paul Finebaum Show, ESPN, SEC Network, joining on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Paul, we had your friend and ours, Ross Bjork, on the station earlier today, and he had a lot to say. And when he talks and you're representing Ohio State, everybody listens. One of the things that jumped out to me, and there's a lot, and I want to run it by you, because anytime I talk to you, this is what's going on up here, what's going on down there. He spoke pretty directly about the autonomy 4, the A4 is what they're calling it, and a governing body that is being put together right now to put guardrails and rules around college football that includes even NIL and punishment and all of these things. he says this is being discussed right now and that they have to move quick and it's got to be in place by this summer when they go to the rev share model. Are you hearing the same thing from down there?
Yes, and now I had a conversation Monday night with the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, and he talked about that in generality, but I've heard other coaches, other people who were in the meeting talk about it more specifically, namely Brian Kelly. And what happened was at that meeting, they had the football coaches in, according to Sankey, on Sunday night, and they stayed until Monday afternoon. For the average person out there, that's like, so what? I mean, they went to New Orleans. I'm sure they had a big dinner. But you know, Bo, and a lot of people in the industry know, you can't get football coaches to stay anywhere. So the idea that 18 from the Big Ten and 16 from the SEC literally had a dinner, a meeting, and then most of the next day shows you what was at stake. And that was not about any what I understand is that what you just related to was a big part of that. And one coach in particular, Brian Kelly, said it had a lot of teeth in it. Now, I've said all that to say I'll believe it when I see it. And I say that because I do believe they want a breakaway, but I really don't believe they want compliance in any way, shape, or form.
No, and you sound like that was my follow-up as well, well, wait a second now. Here's a bunch of potholes that I see in you guys trying to rule this. And Ross even talked about, the NCAA would still have a little bit of jurisdiction, but they're talking about how do you punish, how do you penalize teams if they go above and beyond. And the one thing that always jumps out to me anytime we have these conversations is, you can put rules in place. You can have teams opt into those rules to follow those rules. You can enforce those rules. We've seen all of this before. But when you start putting a cap on what you can and can't do in the world of NIL, that's where you run up against litigation that you never win. So that's the thing that always jumps out to me in terms of the number one pothole is how are you going to do this without just calling them employees? And that's something they've always shied away from and have had no interest in doing, Paul.
And listen to this. Right now, what's the biggest problem in the NCAA? They can't enforce because of litigation. So you tell me, Bo, whatever this organization looks like, how are they going to enforce? Even though it all sounds good, they can't handle the litigation either. At least the NCAA has an infrastructure in place. I think it's a paper tiger. I think they're trying to make it sound like they are serious about a breakaway. But I do not believe that any of these people are really serious other than just saying it about compliance.
I think the coaches are serious. Right? I mean, they're like, we got to do something. But I think that's how your example of them. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. It's all the way Sunday night into Monday. That's coaches saying we've got to do something. But the something that they do is always so complicated. One of the things that you've been dead on and we've talked about through the years was this notion of Florida State trying to find a way out. Well, they're not going to be a way out. But there was something that changed here, and that is kind of a revenue share model where the highest producers in the ACC are going to get a little bit more. How did they land the plane on this, and how big of a victory lap is this for the ACC?
I think it's significant, mainly because the commissioner, Jim Phillips, had to get this off the table. It was too much of a distraction to have probably your two most important members attacking you publicly and airing the dirty laundry. Now, on the back end of this, it's easier for Florida State and Clemson to get out. But here's what's interesting. They are going to make more money based on a number of issues, including television ratings, which brought up some things on our show yesterday, like what's to stop Ohio State in the Big Ten and Michigan, Alabama and Texas in the SEC from saying, listen, we've been carrying you guys all along, especially in football. Why do we need to share? Why does Ohio State need to share the same thing from a television standpoint as Northwestern when the audiences are dramatically different? Same for Alabama and Mississippi State. So I think it's something to watch. The one thing about the Big Ten and the SEC, they've always claimed, it doesn't matter who you are, we're all the same. Well, that's not really true anymore.
Well, to buttress your point, Ross Bjork this morning said he was talking about the college football distribution on the college football playoff distribution model. He said, he actually name-checked Purdue, and he said, Purdue gets the same check we do. So that what you just said now is being discussed out loud okay, we deserve a little bit more than everybody else. And I think that's coming. That the Big Ten, it's a little bit different because of the amount of schools and because of how spread out the conference is. Are the folks in the SEC, I guess, Paul, who are the most powerful folks in the SEC who could try to impose similar? That's the Alabamas, the Texases. Who are on that list, and how can Sankey keep that from happening? Because I'm sure Sankey wants no part of that.
No, he doesn't want. And really, there's only one school that I think this could be a problem with, and you just named it. It's not Alabama, it's Texas, because Texas has not gotten along with anyone in its history. You know that. You know the backstory on that. And, I mean, you think about what Alabama could have claimed during the 17 years of Saban. I mean, they carried the league. They never asked for anything because that's been part of the SEC model for a long time. But I'm not claiming that I know anything, but I do know. I've been to Texas, I think, 8 times this year. If it happened, that's where it would start.
Yeah, they never play nice. I said, anytime you talk to folks in Texas, like everybody hates Texas except people who go to Texas. The arrogance can be felt from anywhere on that side of things. One of the other things that you and I have talked about a lot, and Bjork talked about this morning here on the channel, was this calendar is completely broken. And he talked about something that we've talked about moving, week 1 to week 0 and just kind of backing all of that up, tightening up the college football playoff as well, so that the distance between games was much more small and much more manageable, so they get this done in a better kind of framework. But one thing he said that was interesting to me was that one of the problems with going to 16 is finding television windows to play the games. And that is something that we ran up against even this year in the playoff, because they don't want to go head to head with the NFL. Is there enough power at the top of the sport, talking about Sankey and Petiti, to have us sit down with Goodell and ask for a couple of Saturdays in December?
They could try, and I think it's incumbent upon them to do that, and both have relationships with Goodell, but I don't know why Goodell is going to listen. He simply doesn't care anymore. I mean, I'll spare you the litany of Black Friday and the Saturdays that you mentioned, but they have to stay in business, and the biggest problem, I think, is this. So who are the Big Ten and SEC's biggest partners? Fox on one side, ESPN on the other. Do you think the president of Fox and the president of ESPN want to go to Goodell and start giving him a problem, considering what's at stake on the other side in terms of valuable games, to say nothing of the ESPN being a year and a half away from its first Super Bowl in a generation?
Well, right, and Goodell's got Amazon and all those folks just begging to get into the mix, so he's got the ultimate leverage on all of it. Your conversation with Sankey you had Monday, was there anything what was the thing that jumped out to you most in terms of changes we could see or just where we're heading in the sport?
He didn't close the door for 25 on the seating, and he certainly talked about that. And it's the first time he's also publicly come out, even though everyone knew he was in favor of the SEC going to 9 games. Now, he issued the caveat, as long as it doesn't affect us in the CFP. He also took a backward shot at the CFP committee, even though it changed this week. Not that is going to really matter. So, I mean, it was mostly the 9 games. He wants 9 games, even though a lot of people in the SEC do not, because that means another loss, which can keep some of the bottom feeders out of the bowl game.
Do you think that if they go to 9, and I understand this wasn't from the Tennessee perspective, it was from the Nebraska perspective, and Rules talked about this a lot. I've heard Sark talk about this week as well, and I'll get you out of here on this, that those type of games we'll see less of? Or do you think that how do you manage that?
Yeah, by the way, he specifically mentioned the Tennessee situation with Nebraska getting out of that, and Ole Miss, having Wake Forest pulled the rug out from under them for next year. So he's very upset by that, but I don't think it matters what he says. The fact that the ADs are already saying we're not going to play those games in the future is significant, and that's why we better cherish that Texas-Ohio State game, because I don't know how many more of those we are going to get.
I think you're probably right on that, as you are with most things, my friend. Thanks for your time, as always.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bill.
All right, there he goes, Paul Finebaum, the Paul Finebaum Show on ESPN and the SEC Network on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Get you some thing or not a thing coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic.
The Ohio State Coaches Daily Show is brought to you locally on the Fan by Credit Union of Ohio.
It's a Daily Show with Coach Jake Diebler, brought to you by Encova Insurance. I want to ask you about Colin White, young man who came in, a freshman who's had his season really kind of jacked up because of injury. But Jake, he's a guy that in the USC game is able to give you some big minutes.
Yeah, hit a big shot there in the first half, but I thought defensively he was really good. And in a game where we needed more size on the perimeter with the size of their guards, he stepped up in a big way, and give him a ton of credit. He's stayed ready. He's battled through injuries. That's impacted his growth as a freshman. But I'm so proud of the toughness he showed, and really he showed all season, and happy he was able to have that moment against USC.
We'll have another comment in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Now, the officials have been talking for quite some time.
All righty, let's see what they have to say.
Upon further review, there is no penalty on the play. However, we have conferred and discovered that Bob, the line judge, has saved a boatload for his kids' college using Ohio's 529 plan. It is tax-free, accepted nationwide. Bob recommends we all go to collegeadvantage.com. First down.
Well, that's not entirely unexpected.
Classic Bob.
You're listening to the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Jake, as your team's dealing with the final week of the regular season, the high school playoffs here in Ohio have moved to another stage. If you would just talk about the challenge of trying to monitor what's going on with that while you're running your own team.
Yeah, well, obviously the Ohio High School state basketball tournament holds a special place in my heart for what we were able to accomplish my senior year, dad, coach, and brother on the team, undefeated season. So it's awesome. It's a great time for state. Unique this year. Got more divisions than ever in basketball. But we're monitoring all of them and following closely because I think it's such a special time. So happy for the coaches and the players in the state to be able to experience it.
This is the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Here, heart care helps you heal faster. Advanced, minimally invasive procedures mean less time recovering and more living life. See how we care for all of you at MountCarmelForYou.com.
A pepperoni pizza for the table.
Thank you.
May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness, while the carbonation and notes of citrus enhance the flavor profile. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time.
Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid through March 31st. See store for details.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Taking the art of sports radio and day drinking to a whole new level. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Thursday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
Speaking with an ABC affiliate in Columbia, South Carolina, former Ohio State quarterback Aaron Noland was asked why he picked the Gamecocks.
South Carolina is closer to home, of course. Nowhere from home. Also, the people here, they really enjoy here. They really take in Coach Beamer's word, and the offense feeds off of Coach Shula and stuff like that. And also just the experience they have here, SEC football. I feel like it's a great opportunity to go showcase my skills and talent.
Thing or not a thing?
I'm surprised he ended up there. How old is they got the returning quarterback. Wasn't he a freshman?
Yeah, Lenora Sellers was SEC Freshman of the Year, and I think National. No, just SEC.
Yeah, our guy was that. But, yeah, I think I was surprised he went there. I thought he would go to a place where he would be able to compete for the starting job, and he's going to have to sit. What I read into that is that it was made maybe clear to him, or at least it was his perception, that the job at the top here is known, and the guy behind the guy is known, and he's not either one of them. That's kind of what I take from those comments, because there's another part here where it continues where he said the opportunity to play, it's a play away. You never know what's going to happen when it's a time for football. The opportunity that South Carolina presented is a great opportunity for me. I just feel like Coach Beamer, Coach Shula just know that as well. The play away thing, though, he must have felt like he wasn't going to be a play away here.
Yeah, and we heard Lincoln Keenholz use those same words before when he said he was staying and then he was going to reevaluate. He said he needed to make sure that he was going to be at least the backup where you were one play away from getting in. And it seems like Aaron Noland thought that he was going to be behind Julian and Lincoln and maybe even Tavian St. Clair coming in. So he thought it was time to go somewhere a little closer to home.
Baltimore Orioles infielder Jordan Westberg revealed to reporters Wednesday that he's nursing back soreness, which he says was caused by a soft mattress at his Florida Airbnb. This is from the Baltimore Banner. Westberg said, quote, I'm used to sleeping on a rock back home, and my Airbnb has a little bit of a softer mattress. It was something that I was trying to be stubborn through, which is stupid of me, but I got a mattress topper, and I feel much better, end quote. The 26-year-old Westberg was a first-time All-Star last season, batting .264 with 18 home runs and 63 RBI in 107 games for the Orioles. Thing or not a thing?
You guys soft mattress guy or hard mattress guy?
Soft.
I got a memory foam, and I think it's a little softer.
Yeah. We're due for one. Certainly. I think it's a Tempur-Pedic thing, but the one thing I run up against with it is I've had it for a while, and I think it's gotten soft. So you rotate it and stuff, but like it's kind of just gotten a little soft. And I think I'd be, especially now, man, in my 40s, I got to go. You got to get the hard mattress is probably where that's at. So I sympathize with him.
I think as you get older, you go from softer, and then by the end of it, you are sleeping on a rock, a literal rock.
Yeah, that's the thing I took from this. Isn't he a little young? I think when I was 26, I didn't care if I was sleeping on the floor. I would sleep wherever. I know I wasn't a professional athlete, obviously, but I think these are like first world problems for Mr. Westbrook. When you're 26, your mattress shouldn't matter.
I was kind of hoping that's the angle you'd take.
I think the reality is that these guys are they're like athletic Ferraris, and they're really finicky. And so they're so in tune with their body when it's right and when it's not, that if they can feel even the slightest when it's off.
Especially with baseball players who need everything to be the same every single day, or else they cannot perform to their athletic peak. According to Screen Geek, Sony Pictures has plans to produce a remake of the 1997 film Starship Troopers. The original Starship Troopers has reportedly been one of Sony's biggest IPs in recent years. albeit only following the theatrical release. It originally earned $121 million at the box office. The budget was $100 million, so kind of a success. In the years since, the film was followed by a number of sequels, animated series, and other media, including video games. This from Screen Geek, quote, "For those unfamiliar, the basis of 1997 Starship Troopers revolves around a futuristic military that works to protect the United Citizen Federation. They have entered an interstellar war with the Arachnids, an alien species brought to life with incredible practical effects and CGI. The overall story functioned as a social commentary that in 1997 turned into a satire of fascism. It'll be interesting to see then a new Starship Troopers story post-2025, end quote. Thing or not a thing?
This is the original one is, I want to say, fronted by a guy named Casper Van Dien. I think that was the original star of this. Denise Richards was in the original Starship Troopers.
Ding, ding.
It was considered a bomb at the time because of the budget was so enormous. I've only seen it once, but what I remember was it felt like everybody was in on the joke, except some. Some took it because it's campy. It's really campy, if memory serves. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I think it's got some unintentional comedy that's pretty great.
I don't remember much of it either, Bo, to be honest. I do remember Denise Richards, of course. How could you forget that? But
yeah,
it's kind of one of those things where you're talking about like the unintentional comedy. There's some things that were allowed in 1997 that you just can't get away with now. And there's a lot of movies like that from the past I'm not really sure how they can remake that.
Boy, this is a cast.
Neil Patrick Harris? That's like the doctor.
Casper Van Dien played Johnny Rico. I mean, come on.
He's like the psychic doctor and like the bugs he could like talk to with his mind.
I don't know a Dina Meyer. Denise Richards was in it. Neil Patrick Harris. Jake Busey. Michael Ironside. Oh, come on. Let's go. Run it back. Run it back.
I didn't know it was just like it was supposed to be a commentary on fascism.
No, no. Oh my God. The guy who did Starship Troopers also did Total Recall, Basic Instinct, RoboCop.
Yeah, that checks.
Paul Verhoeven?
I mean, those are all similarly futuristic and goofy, with all like the similar elements of like news delivery and just how they showcase it being the future.
Yeah. Well, except for Basic Instinct, which is something.
Well, that wasn't,
Yeah.
On Tuesday, the George Mason baseball team made NCAA history by scoring 23 runs in one inning in their 26-6 win over Holy Cross. What's even more impressive is that the Patriots didn't hit any home runs during the game. George Mason sent 28 batters to the plate in the bottom of the second when the game was scoreless. The Patriots racked up 11 hits and 19 consecutive batters reached base after 8 were walked and 5 were hit by pitches. Holy Cross needed 5 pitchers to escape that inning. Only Wichita State in 84 and Penn State in 83 held the previous record of 21 runs in a single NCAA inning. Thing or not a thing?
So this is like Little League Baseball when it goes wrong. Right. I mean, that's kind of what it is. So when NBC was on the worst Little League team in the history of Little League Baseball, and it was the thing that I think more than anything else drove him to lacrosse, and then eventually that was kind of the catalyst for all of the boys to go to lacrosse, was he played on the worst second-grade baseball team that has ever been assembled. They did not win a game. I don't remember if they were within 5 runs ever. They just continually got bombed every single time out. The only mercy in it was a team could only go through their batting order once every inning. That was it. And they probably could have used that here in a 26-6 win.
Hit that mercy rule early in this one. The first thing you think of is, man, Holy Cross needs some help with the pitching staff. But it's so weird in sports, especially baseball. You can just get this momentum rolling, and it seems like everybody's on the hit train, and there's no way to get out of it. Just everything works for them, and everything is falling apart for you when you're on the field. But, yeah, this is a crazy thing. It would have been that inning had to take 35 minutes.
Yeah, and there's a helplessness to it, right? Like you're out of pitchers. You see that sometime in the bigs, where all of a sudden they bring an outfielder in because they don't have any pitchers left who can throw. All right, final hour of the program coming up next. We kick it off a little higher, lower. Ross Bjork, some more comments from him in terms of his thoughts on Jake Diebler's first season. Lots of big news of the day, and of course the Jackets back to work tonight down in South Florida. A little bit of Shelley time coming your way at 11:30. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Common Man has spent the past 18 years telling you how much he hates people. And yes, that probably means you, too. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops, receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
Easy Cater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint.
Let's trade lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com/iPhone for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. As football winds down, college basketball is gearing up, and fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine in March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get on all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 and get $100 back in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app. Sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. This update sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, give Dr. Mark Levy's office a call at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP, or visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. Ohio State football begins spring practice Monday, March 17th. Earlier today, Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork joined Morning Juice and says there's an appetite for playoff expansion.
If we need to expand further to get maybe automatic qualifying spots, SEC and Big Ten have been pushing for that. That's okay. I think we can be healthy at 14, maybe 16. 16 has some complications based on TV windows and things like that.
On the ice tonight in Florida, the Blue Jackets battle the Panthers at 7 o'clock. Elvis Merzlikins gets the nod in net. The trade deadline in the NHL is tomorrow at 3 o'clock. You can hear Blue Jackets hockey and breaking sports news when it happens, all on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The perfect show for quarter zips and khaki shorts. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
This is on social from Caleb. If the Big Ten and SEC get 4 automatic spots in the playoff, and if the schools in those conferences win 5 games, they go to bowl games, I think you're still going to see tough games, like a scheduling agreement with the 2 conferences. I'm not sure about that. I think the SEC is still pretty shocked that Alabama was left out. I think it floored them. And I think the reason they were left out is really just something as silly as Ward Manuel slipping up on a television appearance and said you won't be punished if you lose a conference. I really think it's nothing more than that. I don't think it was some grand conspiracy to keep him out. I don't think it was anything about antitrust or any of that. I think Ward Manuel he's talking without a net and was asked about what to do with the teams who lose the conference championship games. And he said, we're not going to punish them. And then once SMU lost, he had to put his money where his mouth is. And I think the easiest one to leave out was Bama, because it wasn't just leaving out Bama, it was South Carolina, and that was kind of all the conversation there. So I don't know if it's that simple. I think the SEC feels a little betrayed by what happened in the college football playoff in terms of their amount of teams getting in. I think Sankey feels a little betrayed, and I think they want to make damn sure that they get their rightful seat at the table. That's where the guaranteed berths are all about. Big Ten's in the same spot. Didn't bite us this year, but it could in future years. They want to make sure it doesn't. So I think all of that has to get sorted out. They need the automatics. I think to your point, Caleb, they need the automatics before that they can continue scheduling non-conference as ambitiously as, for example, Texas and Ohio State. All right, time for a little higher, lower. Hit it, Reese.
Bishop and Friends present Higher or Lower.
Sponsored by The Waterworks. Call The Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling today at 614-232-2222 or visit online at thewaterworks.com.
All right, today's higher or lower comes from our conversation yesterday, Bo, you opining about the drop-off for your kids at school, and how things are just, supposed to be one way, but they are a completely different way. We had mentioned in a similar offensive vein, those who drop their kids off right at the door instead of allow other space for others is on par with those who don't return their shopping carts.
That's true.
Someone had rightfully pointed out in the YouTube chat that Aldi incentivizes its consumers to return the shopping carts by having you put a quarter in each time you want to use one. And so I found Food and Wine list its 10 best grocery stores based off of 41,000 shoppers who chimed in their preferences with the American Consumer Satisfaction Index. So the ASCI takes into consideration mobile shopping capabilities, website quality, and perceptions of value, which have become increasingly important among shoppers because everything's so damn expensive. So they have listed, based off of 41,000 respondents, the 10 best grocery stores in America.
Okay. All right. I'm in.
So we'll start at number 1, and they claim that there's a tie, but I say no. You've listed 10, 1, 2 through 10. So at number 1, Trader Joe's.
All right. There's no way Trader Joe's can be number 1 because I can't do all my shopping there. I mean, I like their stuff, but it's always a 2-stop shop. I can get some of my stuff there, but I got 3 grown boys, man. They don't have big enough quantities. They don't have enough produce. They don't have enough protein, quite honestly. So I like it there a lot. I think it's fine. But to me, if it's a two-stopper, then I think they got to be down the list. They can't be number one. I mean, I think of places I go regularly where I go one-stop shop and I get everything. Like that's my process. So if the fact that I got to go twice, I can't have them number one on the list.
Yeah, I think I've only been in a Trader Joe's twice in my life. And from what I remember being in there, it didn't seem like a full-service grocery store. And also, there's none that are really close to me. So that's a big thing in me is closeness, is I just want to go run and grab it. Or even if it's something I forgot, I can go back quick. So I would not have Trader Joe's at the top.
Yeah, I'm trying to think for you, Baker. The closest would be up on Sawmill Road, and then there's one over at Easton.
That's what I was thinking. Sawmill Road is probably.
What is your guys' grocery routine? Are you once a week, or do you go in as needed?
I am just kind of whenever I really need it. There's very few times where I go to the grocery store and it's like an hour long, make sure I get everything for the week. I'm just kind of spotty here and there.
Reese?
I'm a little bit of both. I would say more so to the maybe once every 2 weeks for the big grocery haul, and then necessities as desired, or if I'm commanded to pick certain things up, then I go without question.
Live, damn it.
Commanded.
Enjoy these moments that you have, because I am a Sunday morning grocery store, Costco every week. Big every week.
That sounds so busy at that time.
Yeah. No. Sunday morning, there's nobody.
Nobody? Okay.
Oh, no. You got to go 8 a.m. You go 8 a.m., and then Costco opens Sunday morning at either 9:30 or 10. So I'm first card in the door. And I'm all done by 11.
That's a veteran play.
Yeah, veteran play. But that's it. That's every week I do that.
So this ranking of 10 supermarkets, the top 10 supermarkets in the country, I found this on Food and Wine, but it was based off of the results of 41,000 shoppers per the American Customer Satisfaction Index. So if you don't like the rankings, blame the ACSI or blame some of your local or fellow shoppers. At 2 on this list is Publix. At 3, Sam's Club. 4, Wegmans. 5, HEB. 6, Whole Foods. Higher or lower for Whole Foods at 6?
Whole Foods is great. I mean, that's got everything you need. That's got all of it. If you want to go healthy, it's there. I understand it has the whole paycheck reputation to it. And the other thing that's nice now about Whole Foods is your boy Bezos owns it, so you can do the Amazon Prime and get the percentages off when you check out. So I'm a big Whole Foods guy. I enjoy them. I would just say, like, I wish Publix were here. They're awesome, but I don't think they're anywhere other than Florida. Wegmans. I've never been in a Wegmans. I know that's a big New York is Wegmans. That was a big thing. Out west, we had Safeway and Albertsons were two kind of ones that were out there, but I don't know that they're here. Albertsons is similar to like Kroger, how Kroger is, that type of feel.
I think there are a couple Safeways around the state of Ohio, and there's at least it's an Albertsons down by Athens, I believe.
Is there?
There's one down there.
I can't confirm that.
I think they are. I think they are owned by the same. They are a Kroger. I know there was an Albertsons in Phoenix that my dad and I went into, and it was like I was in a Kroger store. It was the exact same.
Same feel. Yeah.
I've been to a Wegmans once, Bo, but it was just going into the liquor store. So. And then Publix, we go there. That's our first stop. We have 2 stops when we get to Florida every summer. One is Publix. The other is the ABC store. Publix is great, but, man, it's so expensive. They seem to be – their prices are high.
Well, listen, if you're going to sling those type of sub sandwiches that they sling, then you can charge whatever the hell you want for Cocoa Puffs. That's just the reality of it. They have mastered the sub game. At the grocery, they've mastered the grocery store sub game. There's not a sub setup in the state of Ohio at a grocery store. There's no grocery store deli that's in the vicinity of the league that Publix is in. Not close.
All right.
So I think they're appropriate, but very regional. Are any of our where's Giant Eagle on this?
Not on this top 10. At 7, Aldi. 8, Costco. 9, ShopRite. 10, Target.
This is the real truth. I went into an Aldi once. And I started because everyone's like, you got to try it, good value. You got to, and I got in there and I started walking and I'm like, I just felt like I was in a different country. I couldn't make sense of it. The generic brands, I didn't know what was what. I didn't understand the rules that applied to it at all. I thought that was crazy. I went into one, and then I didn't buy anything. I just put the cart back, and I left, and I just said, out of your depth. This ain't for you. This is not my habitat.
So I think the one thing I like about Aldi is they're pretty small, so you don't have to go around a lot for what you need, but I don't think they always have everything that I need. So like there's a couple Aldis, whichever way I leave from my house, if I go left or I go right, there's a couple Aldis within the same distance. And I went in the one, it's pretty newer over in Hilliard, and it was fine, but it didn't seem like it was going to save me any money from either Sam's Club or Meijer, which is the two places I usually shop. So I just kind of threw it out of my routine just because I could get the same thing at those places and I can get everything I need at those places. I've never once thought of going to Target and grocery shopping.
Yeah, that's a last 15 years thing. Like that and Walmart, how they've added all the groceries in the last 15 years or so. I'm going to give you, this is my gift to you. You go to the Meijer, Bake, this is my gift to you. They have a line of ice cream called Hudsonville Creamery Ice Cream.
Okay.
It's out of Michigan. They're the only people who carry it. They have a flavor that has since been discontinued called Bananas Foster. Now, if you like that dessert, it's the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. But I would also tell you that some of their other flavors are top-notch. And it will give you a mouthfeel that you've never had before.
Oh,
so
boy.
the next time you go to your Meijer, go in your ice cream section. Nice little advertisement for those kids, unprompted. Go in there and pull out a little of the Hudsonville, and you're going to like that.
I think we just got the newest Bishop and Friends promo, a mouthfeel you've never had before.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's a game changer. Ross Bjork was on with Morning Juice this morning. His thoughts on Jake Diebler's first season, on the Stadium Series, his thoughts on closing in on a year here in town. That's coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
The Red Clay Strays, live. Get Right Tour. August 12th, Kimba Live Outdoor. A night of sultry Southern rock. On sale this Friday at 10 a.m. at the Penn Station box office and online at AXS.com. The Red Clay Strays, brought to you by Promo West Productions.
This is the White Castle Call of the Crave, and it can happen anytime, even right now. So for a limited time, go get your hands on crispy shrimp nibblers. Only at White Castle. Follow your crave. Limited time only.
There's a new way to surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and Market District. Shop Giant Eagle's uncompromising quality at a reliable price with everyday savings. Look for signs throughout the store to find bargains on produce, meat, and more. Visit Giant Eagle to see how easy it is to save.
Home values in Columbus are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked. So if you're thinking about selling, it's time. Except for two things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high, but you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Smart, right? Truehold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, or secure your retirement. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast.
I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro.
No way.
And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated.
That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days.
Hey folks, Austin Ward here. Over the past 10 years, the weight loss industry has seen it all. New medications, fad diets, sculpting, yet Awaken 180 still stands alone as the proven solution for lasting weight loss. Results at awaken180weightloss.com.
All in favor of March basketball? Raise your hands, but not while driving. That would be bad. The Buckeye women's team heads to Indy for the Big Ten tournament.
Catch all the action Friday night at 8:45.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Do you want a job that is flexible, secure, and fun? It also offers excellent pay and is ranked as one of the best jobs in America, too. I'm talking about being a dental hygienist. And all you have to do is complete a 2-year program after high school. Visit ODA.org to learn more and to start helping people love their smile. This message is brought to you by the members of the Ohio Dental Association.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
When we take the time to read with our children, we show them that reading is important and fun. When we read stories with diverse characters and viewpoints with our kids, we show them new ways to see themselves and the world around them. Celebrate our nation of diverse readers as we celebrate Read Across America this week and all year round.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Heading into this afternoon, we are going to be looking at some sunshine. It'll be windy with winds gusting as high as 35 miles per hour. Today's high 39, tonight's low 29. Heading into Friday, looking at showers arriving by the afternoon. It'll be slightly warmer with a high of 45. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
News, opinions, and insight, all before breakfast. Rise and shine with Morning Juice.
Weekdays starting at 6.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. They'll offer betting advice, but don't bet on it being good. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
So, this from loyal listener Snagglepuss. Publix is in Louisville, and they're building in Cincinnati. So they're coming for us. Then you'll be able to have those subs. Bake, you always go there. You never get the subs, though, right? When you go to Florida?
No, I have not did the subs. I just go get the stuff for the week and
sub it up, dude. That's got to be your first meal.
Well, I'm going to have to do it.
It times out perfectly. You land, go there, get your stuff for the week, and a lot of them have liquor stores either near them or right there. And then you do your you get yourself a sub. That's going to set you up, buddy.
It's interesting that the Publix we go to, you go in the grocery store and then you go out and then you have to go to the side. There's a separate door. It's something about the laws in Florida, but there's a separate door you go in for a separate liquor store.
Yeah, that's typically the way that works.
How are we on the delivery? The grocery delivery.
I like grocery stores. I like going in there. I like being surprised by what's around every corner. Is there a new product I need to try? There's no way that I could do the delivery stuff when it comes to protein. I mean, I got to get a look at my meats. I can't be living in a world where my meats are being selected by somebody else. I'm choosing my meats.
Same with produce.
Yeah.
Like apples. I see it all the time.
Look at them. I got to see what this stuff looks like. I'm not leaving this to chance.
Bo, I'm with you. I enjoy going to the grocery store, actually. And I did one of those, there's subscription things for everything. I did one of those subscriptions for one of the meat delivery services. They'll send it every month. Mm-hmm. And it's very quality and it's very good. The steaks are too thin for me. I like a thicker cut.
You like a thicker cut?
Yeah.
You like your meat thick. I think another one. How many you want? Do this all day.
All right, Bob. Come on.
Bob Taylor is going to love us.
Take that humor to 6 a.m., buddy.
Sometimes it's a little too easy. Ross Bjork was on with, speaking of Bob, he was on Morning Juice with Bob and Tito this morning. It's about a year since he's been in town. He came fresh off the Buckeye cruise this morning. By the way, 4.6. That's awesome. Just awesome. Lisa, Chris, so many of the regular folks, all their crew, they're just the best. I haven't been on it for years, but the last time I was on it was one of the most impactful things that I've ever seen, and it's so awesome that they've been doing it. Bob said he's been doing it for 18 years. Awesome. Just so cool, and really could only be done here. and it's something to be very, very proud of. Here is Ross on his impressions of a year here in town.
Everywhere you go in this city, it's about relationships. Everywhere you go in this city, it's about people. It's about investing in those relationships and spending time. And I just didn't, maybe I should have anticipated that part of it. You know, I've got family ties here in Ohio. Maybe I should have understood that, but that's kind of been a surprising facet. And then until you're kind of in it, you can talk about being at Ohio State and you can understand the scale and the magnitude of our fan base, but until you're actually in it and you see it and you're engaged in it, the volume and the magnitude of our brand, it is massive, it is powerful, but the cool thing about it is there's still potential. So I've learned that if we actually lead and engage even at a higher level, we can do more. And that's really, really fascinating, and you think about it. So those are the elements that we're putting forward, and I think there's a lot of things that we can do around data and revenue and engagement and just getting more people involved around merchandise. And there's an upside here because of that power of the brand that I've really learned that I think is going to be exciting as we move into this new era.
You guys grew up here. You don't know any different. You don't really have, I think it's impossible to have a true appreciation for the power of that Block O until you live here. Truly. Because you see it from afar. And I remember when even early on in my television career, I had always circled, I knew that I wanted to be around college football and where it mattered most. So I always circled as like markets to aspire to: Columbus, Austin, Knoxville, those type of places where college sports was going to be at the top of it, because I got the itch down in Tallahassee and it was like, this is so much fun. Like, college football is so great. And college athletics, even down there, they were great at baseball. So that was something that we covered a lot. ACC basketball down there. So just wanted to be around those. So it was something that I circled. But it wasn't until I moved here in 2007 that I was like, oh, this is completely different than any of the other places that I've been. And it feels like Bjork is kind of having a similar realization here a year into the job, that this is just built a little bit different, and the importance. And I do think that the meteoric rise of Columbus as a city is something that Ohio State has benefited from tremendously. That those two things go hand in hand. Bjork also talked about a big event he had on campus this past weekend. That is the Stadium Series game. Let's have a listen to that.
What we did with that game was we turned it over to the NHL. They rented our facility. They ran the event. It was their production. Now, our people had to plug in, right, knowing the stadium and making sure that we operated things. But it was really their event, the pageantry around it. All of those were their ideas. But what they did is they came to a couple football games during the season. Okay. And they said, boy, can we do skull session? Boy, can we do a team walk, into the stadium and have the team dropped off and have the fans, line the sidewalk and have the band, enter the stadium. They came up with all those ideas. They, they added the cannon when they scored a goal, right? They added a new cannon logo to the field level. Again, like a Buckeye leaf, right? So they came up with all of those ideas because they came to our football game and they watched. It was their event. We turned it over to them. We had to operate some elements of it, but credit to the Blue Jackets for engaging. Credit to the NHL for really thinking about how do we make this a local tie-in and local engagement. So it was magical.
That was one of my big takeaways on Monday's show, was the partnership of a relationship that at times has been quite frosty, but kind of a walking hand in hand that the Buckeye power structure had, whether it's Ross or Top Gun Ted, the way that that relationship that they had working hand in hand with the Blue Jackets in the NHL, and that's Ross just talking about it right there. It hasn't always been that copacetic and that welcoming one to the other. Now it is. And that's a big turn, I think, for everybody.
Bo, I think it's interesting, kind of going back to your last point there, how different it is with Ohio State here in this town. And sometimes we get caught up in it and we forget just how cool this is and how special and different something like Skull Session is. And the NHL people came in and they went to the game, got the experience, and they're like, man, that's really cool. That's different. That's a great idea. And they looked at all that, and maybe someone from here may not have caught those things like they did coming from an outside perspective and saying, hey, look, what they do here is different. This is really cool. To us, it's just normal. It's what we do all the time.
We're used to it. Let me just tell you this. 15,000 people watching a coach talk and a band play before they walk into a stadium does not happen everywhere. It's quite unique. So all of those things that make it so special here, kudos to the NHL for taking notes and saying, what are the things that we have to have here? And then executing all of it. That was awesome. And that's pretty cool that all of those things worked. One other, Ross Bjork's first major hire, although Gene was involved in it as well, was the hire of Jake Diebler as the men's basketball coach. A big win this week for Jake and the team. Still right there on the bubble. Really need to get into that tournament. Would love to win a game in that tournament, create a little bit of program momentum. I think it'd be critical for recruiting and just everything around the program. The fellows this morning asked Ross about Jake's first year on the job.
We're in the mix, right? And that's what we said. We got to be in the mix. Now, could we have won some games that we had the lead in the last couple minutes and things like that? So there's things that Jake is learning. But what I love is the passion, the energy, the connectivity with our players. We haven't had a full roster the whole season. I'm not sure. Somebody could probably do an analysis of how many games have we had a full roster. You know, Michi has been out the whole year. Aaron Bradshaw's been in and out of the lineup. We've had other guys kind of dinged up and nicked up. So once we have a full complement of this roster, once we engage in recruiting at a higher level, which Jake and the staff are doing, to me, sky's the limit for this program. But we're in the mix. Hopefully we finish strong. Our metrics are really good right now. Indiana will be a tough game on the road. If we can win that game, win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, I think we're squarely in. We have the right kind of metrics. We have 10 quad 1 and 2 victories. So Jake's doing a great job and really meeting our expectations. And now we just need to win those games that we were close on, and we know we can do it moving forward.
He just laid it out. I mean, the Indiana one, I think, would put them squarely in. If you lose the Indiana game this weekend, then you're probably looking at, you got to win at least one in the Big Ten. Right now, they're the 10 seed. Do I have that right? If the tournament started today, I think they're the 10 seed. That would have them playing, I think, Thursday night. If they move into that 8 slot or the 9 slot, then they would play at noon on Thursday if they move into that. So that means AR and Maddie, a little bit of preempting.
Not a bad gig for them.
They always get that, man. That noon slot that takes care of them in that Big Ten tournament.
You just wait till they move the Big Ten tournament to Los Angeles or Vegas. We maybe get some love there.
Maybe then we could. All right, Jackets with another big one tonight. They are down in South Florida. I wonder if Rims treated Jody to dinner down in the homeland. We'll do a little Shelly time in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter, and spring's going to be here before you know it. I know it feels cold now, but before too long, you're going to be outside running around, jogging, wanting to do golf, explore time with your family. Get outside and do the things you love. Just be active. And listen, a lot of my friends, they're asking me about QC Kinetics joint treatments. They want to know if they should consider it for their joint pain. And if you're wondering, maybe you could be a good candidate, let's see if the answer is yes to any of these questions. Quality of life impacted by chronic pain, knees, hips, back, shoulders, other things. Trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Check. Next, avoiding surgery, the pain, the downtime? Check. Most importantly, do you miss doing the things I talked about when the spring and summer are here? Check. Don't wait. If you answered yes to one or any of those, you'd be a great candidate. You can go in there, go to QC Kinetics, ask for their free consultation, find out what it's all about, learn about the latest advances in regenerative medicine. They've got locations in Dublin and Gehenna, or you can go to qckinetics.com/Columbus, or better yet, call 380-208-4544.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops, receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
Easy Cater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com/iPhone for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The gloves. Shelly time.
Sponsored by Visit Central Florida. Discover the real Florida magic at visitcentralflorida.com.
All right, we head down to South Florida where we find a little bit of Shelley time on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Did Rims treat you to a meal last night by chance?
No, he didn't. Didn't catch up with Rims yesterday. Kind of had a day just away from it all. I went to the beach for the day, which was nice.
Look at you. Where did you go?
I went down to Fort Lauderdale. We're not staying in that area, so I went down there and enjoyed the beach.
Just get a little walk on the beach, clear the mind.
Yeah, clear the mind. Little reset there in the Atlantic, you know.
Did you normally when you go down there, you play? Don't you usually play a little pickleball down there, a little racket sports,
I used
tennis?
to play tennis. Yeah, there's a great tennis facility close to here. I used to play there all the time, but my tennis has gotten a little bit on the back burner. So mostly just workouts and walks now.
Have you done the pickleball switch, or you're too good of an athlete for that?
No, I like pickleball. I do, but if I'm going to spend a couple hours doing something, I like the tennis.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
I sweat way more.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's so popular in the place you are now, because it doesn't take that much work to play the pickleball. It's quite easy, especially if you play doubles. You don't even have to move.
Yeah. I mean, when you play with better players, it's no fun because I mean, you got to play it all the time to get better. I think.
Let me. Where are you with? And we had your buddy Mears on Monday, and one thing he talked about was that kind of that hangover after the Stadium Series game, that win or lose in the Stadium Series, it typically doesn't go well the next time out. And you're down 2 goals in 90 seconds. And I don't care if you're an NHL team or you're 8-year-olds. If you're down 2 goals, it's tough to come back from. And that was one of those things where they're kind of like just behind the 8 ball from the jump, Jody.
Well, I mean, it's a real thing. The emotion of that game, 94,000 people, the spectacle, the pictures, the videos, how you felt, the energy. And then you get on a plane, you're on a roll, and you get down to Florida. And that next game, there is a little bit of a letdown. I think, it's a perfect storm for Tampa because they coming off a loss to the Florida Panthers the game before. They have a team that's one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League. So I think as a coach and as players, you go into that last game in Tampa and think, okay, if we can keep it close, you know what I mean? Not give them too many power play opportunities and get a couple big saves, and we'll take what we get out of this one. But they just never were able to get that next goal. So I would expect a much different effort tonight against another team that's forecasted to go back or making a push to go try to win the Stanley Cup again in the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, no rest for the weary, right? Tampa Bay had won. They won 9 out of 10. This Florida team has won 8 out of 10, including 4 in a row. They just acquired Seth Jones, our former guy, earlier this week. They're all in, obviously, to win it. They got the Kachuk stuff that they got to deal with, which I'm sure they're not real pleased about, but nevertheless, they got to deal with that too. What type of hornet's nest are we walking into tonight?
Yeah, they just picked up Vitek Vanacek, the backup goalie. He was out in San Jose. So they're going all in. He's going to back up Bobrovsky. They traded Spencer Knight last week for that Seth Jones piece. So, yeah, they're good. I mean, this is a team that understands the rigors of the regular season and fine-tuning to be at that level where they can do what they did last year. And you think about last year, they also understand the importance of being healthy and having a little bit of luck. This is a team that's learned a lot. They know their roles. Now they have cap space with Kachuk on the long-term IR. So they're looking to add whatever they can. And, this is right where you want to be for the Blue Jackets. The race is on. They stumbled last game. You don't want to lose 2 in a row. Good teams don't lose 2 in a row. So tonight you'll see an urgent team. Same lineup. James Van Riemsdyk is moving up where Chinnikov was last game. I think that's the right move.
Yeah.
I think when they brought Voronkov back early in the season, it took him 5 or 6 games to figure out, kind of get the pace of the league. And they kept him on that top spot, and that wasn't ideal, I think. So for a new guy coming back in Chinnikov, of course you want him to be in the top 6. But Van Riemsdyk, Jenner, and Johnson, when that line went together, when Sillinger went out, that is a key line and a hard one to play against.
It sure is. One other thing from Tampa Bay, and I'm not a moral victory guy, Joe, not pretending to be. This is professional sports. We have no time for that. But one thing that I did think was pretty cool was There was no sense of, all right, we're done. Let's just get to South Florida. There was none of that. I mean, it was the shorty that they get that gets it. It was 5-1, then that one comes off. It goes to 4-2. Like that, give a damn that fight that stays, and that's something we've talked about all the time. That's who this team is. It's who this organization has always wanted to be, and this team is buying into that in the biggest way. They could have just pushed in the chips. We'll see in South Florida. They didn't do that at all.
No, I mean that's a great thing about this team, and I'm not into moral victories either, but I look at that as you do what's expected of you as a teammate. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You don't look down the bench and see a guy kind of look in a daze. It's like, we got to get the next one. We pulled a goalie down by 3. We want to get the next one. We know we can beat this goalie. They had a tough time getting enough heavy traffic in on Johansson there, the goalie that hadn't played much. But they knew the weakness of getting there to him, so they stuck with it. And I agree with you. This team, they know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to win a game. So that's great to learn early, and they've stuck with it.
And you speak of that team and the reward of that. Don Waddell with some incredible comments this week that you want to talk about reading the room. He's read it correctly in the idea of all that this team has accomplished, how special this group is together. Trade deadline is tomorrow. He kind of gets to the point of like, hey, I owe it to these guys to keep it. You and I talked about this earlier in the week. Do you sense anything happens at the deadline, or do you think that this group will get to run this stretch out as a unit as is currently constructed?
I think something's going to happen. I really do. I think that there's a lot of players in play, a lot of names that we don't hear of, but all the names we hear of, I wouldn't doubt if Don Waddell's in on them. Yeah. He wants to improve this team. It's a unique position. He didn't think he was going to be in his first year as a general manager of this organization, but they have like the perfect storm going here right now. So I think they're going to add. I love the Olivier signing. I mean, for a number of reasons, but I love his comments even. This isn't an individual sport. This is a team sport, and I love what he said about who he's been playing with, the opportunity he's been giving, part of a special group. Like, these guys are tight, and like I said last game, add the right pieces. You know what I mean? The Provorov situation, are they going to keep him and let that contract run out? I don't know. If there's a better offer to upgrade that position, then he'll make the move. That's the position he's in right now.
Do you think, if it's got to be a little bit of human nature, but you're looking in the standings, you see where you are, you see the Devils ahead of you, you get the Jack Hughes news, and you say, oh, maybe you're only 4 points behind them. I mean, you can be pretty aggressive maybe right now. Maybe there's a little bit. I mean, that's a big loss for the Devils.
Oh, yeah. You got to get greedy. That's turmoil there. And there's something going on with their defenseman, Hamilton. They've got a few things on the slide. So, that's a team that had a great first half, but they've been stumbling lately. And for the Blue Jackets, they're punching up. I mean, this is a team this would be a tough out in the playoffs. And I think I hope this continues the way they're playing. I don't see why it wouldn't, because they are just churning. You know what I mean? They roll 4 lines. Everyone knows the role. They're a team that won't go away. Geez, who wants to play a team like that? And I think that's what's good. They're looking up. They're tracking them down. And look at this week. You got Florida, then it's the Rangers, then it's back to play the Devils. I mean, these are all divisional games. There's a home and home with Ottawa. There's a home and home with Washington, the Ovechkin chase. This is going to be a wild finish to this season, and tonight's going to be it's how you react after a loss, right? Tampa lost to Florida. They came in and took care of the Blue Jackets. Now the Blue Jackets got to take care of Florida tonight.
What's the trade deadline tomorrow, as I mentioned? In your playing career, or even as a broadcaster, what is the best example you personally have of a deal being made either at the deadline or near it that gave either a team you were on or a team that you witnessed firsthand a massive shot in the arm?
Well, that's a really good question. There were some couple moves last year. Florida went and made a couple big moves that changed things over. They got defensive depth.
Yeah.
For me, I'm trying to think as a player. I remember standing around the TV looking at the ticker in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And all the players are there. It's like 2 hours before the game, and because it's the time change, it was still just at the wire. Then I forget who it was. One of the players we're standing with. We see his name go across the bottom of the screen. Traded to Anaheim. I'm like, what? Off he goes. Lyle Odeline, on the way to the airport, my first game. I think we had lunch, our first year. We had lunch, and then he called me on his flip phone and said, hey, I'll see you at the plane. Well, guess what? He didn't show up on the plane. He got traded that day after the deadline was made. So the process of making the trade hadn't been done. But if I think of a trade, I mean, I just can't think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, there's go ahead.
The big ones like Rantanen usually happen before, right? I think that's important too. Before the deadline last year, got the guys settled in like he did with Seth Jones this year. That could be one that to me is a big trade. That's a huge piece. A player that was underachieving on a bad team, who now is just going to find his game, be a piece of the team, not the counted on piece, but just be a piece. And I think Eichel's the same thing. Vegas. I mean, last year they went out and they don't hold back.
That's the what you just said is probably the way that I can think of best is big time talent on underachieving team, maybe disinterested. Then it's almost a shot in their game. All of a sudden you go play on the top on one of these teams that's chasing. It's like you're rejuvenated overnight. We see that all the time. Yeah,
it's the system too. Look at Werenski last year. He was a different player because the system in the defensive zone was different.
Yeah.
Now he's allowed to go. Can you imagine going for a team where it's very restrictive in what you have to do to a team where, okay, you can be creative. This is what you have to do. This is the reads, and go. So I think a guy like Jones is going to like that structure.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the call. Look forward to the game tonight. Thanks for your time as always. Enjoy South Florida, buddy.
All right, Bo. Have a great weekend. See you, man. Thank you.
All right, there he goes. A little bit of Shelley time on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. 3 things on a Thursday. Up next, Bishop and Friends, right here on the Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic.
Do you realize making the minimum monthly payments on your credit cards, it'll take nearly 20 years to pay them off? What if I told you there's a way for you to get them all paid off in just a matter of weeks? Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Imagine wiping out all of your credit cards. Here's where you go. AFLcash.com. That's AFLcash.com. Advantage First Lending is the easy button for tapping in to hundreds of thousands of dollars in your home equity. That's not the bank money, it's your money. Listen, your home, the value is way up. And now AFLcash.com has a super fast, hassle-free program that lets you turn that equity into cash. People do this are living their best life, their credit card debt free, with cash left over for other stuff like home improvements, maybe a vacation. See how much money you can get now. Go to AFLcash.com or call 844-394-CASH. That's 844-394-CASH. Say goodbye to greedy credit card companies. That's AFLcash.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1209177. Subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
It's a different world today than it was 30 years ago when I started Care Heating and Cooling. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, 30 years ago, you were the first to warn of companies using service technicians as salespeople, of abusing the trust that a service technician has. With the big conglomerates now buying companies all over Central Ohio, this has become the normal business model.
It's all about greed. The conglomerates know they can make a lot more money by incentivizing their technicians to sell furnaces instead of fixing them. They train their techs to take advantage of a customer when they are the most vulnerable.
Dad, that is not how we were taught. In 2024, Care Heating and Cooling was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Hey, it's Anthony, and I've got a fitting personalized for you. From the moment you walk in the Good Feet store, they're going to take the time to understand your unique lifestyle, your daily routines, and most importantly, the pain that brought you in to see them in the first place. If your feet ache after a long day or that discomfort starts radiating through your knees, your hips, your back, I've been there. The Good Feet store is going to help you where you need relief and find the arch supports that work best for you. And they're working for me. I walked all over the place in New Orleans covering the big game. I was loving it. I literally literally was walking for miles around the French Quarter, Canal Street, everywhere, because I had my personally fit arch supports in my shoes. For more than 30 years, the Good Feet store has helped thousands of people get back to feeling comfort on a daily basis. I want you to be one of them. Go in, take the free test walk. They're immediately available. Good Feet products are proudly made in the USA on Polaris Parkway and on Stringtown Road in Grove City or goodfeet.com.
The Jackets hit the road for a battle with the Panthers. Live fan coverage starts Thursday night at 6:30.
Sponsored by Atlas Butler Heating and Cooling.
Your home for Blue Jackets hockey, The Fan. Ohio sports destination.
Everyone has that one goal, that thing they want to prove, not to other people, but to themselves. Then, right when you think you could actually do it, cancer. And that goal is still within reach. I would know. I'm about to run my first ever marathon with my two best friends. 3 years after having cancer.
At least we look good in these shorts.
Woo! Let's get it, guys. You, keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keep making plans to learn more.
Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Financial aid is available to those who qualify.
Bo Bishop here. High Bank Distillery Co. is the most awarded distillery in America at the 2024 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Stop by your local liquor store to grab a bottle, or the 3 restaurant locations in Gahanna, Grandview, or Westerville. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Airflow Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Sports conversation that's worthy of a toast, or at least a stiff drink. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
This news yesterday, Around the Horn will officially host its final episode on Friday, May 23rd. Do you guys know the original cast of PTI?
Was that
Around the Horn?
Damn Max Kellerman, the host?
Kellerman was the host, yeah. So it was Kellerman.
Kellerman was the host.
Had to be Woody Page.
Woody
It
Page.
was Woody Page. I believe it was Jay Mariotti out of Chicago.
Jay Mariotti out of Chicago.
And I think Kalishaw was there, right? Was he an original?
He was not an original, but he's close. Bob Ryan of the Boston
how did I
Globe,
miss Bob Ryan?
who's icon. And then, Plaschke ended up doing it a lot out of the L.A. Times. Because remember, in the beginning, they based it around the newspapers. So it was the Sun-Times, the Denver Post, the Boston Globe, the L.A. Times, Dallas Morning News. The fourth one was T.J. Simers.
Okay.
The LA, he was on the very first show.
I was going to say, because Plaschke wasn't an actual original. He came in pretty early, but...
Yeah, but Simers was the first one. So it was Ryan, Simers, Mariotti, and Woody Page was the very first cast of that. And they've done nearly 5,000 episodes of that show. And I think PTI is just going to be longer, right? Isn't that the plan? They're just going to do an hour.
Somehow.
Tony's in his mid to late 70s and Mike's in his mid to late 60s.
I thought I read yesterday that they were going to do some kind of 30-minute Sports Center type thing in that spot.
Jam that in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
PTI used to be like DVR watching for me, like every day.
Yeah. Well, they were trained. They did. Here's what everybody tried to emulate them, but the problem that nobody ever got to their level because Mike and Tony actually are really good friends, and the chemistry is, you can't fake it. You either have it or you don't, and they always had it. What do we have on the poll today, Reese?
The Daily Fan Poll is sponsored by Caster Connection, and it asks, what should the Blue Jackets do at the trade deadline? Your 3 options are be aggressive, make minor tweaks, or stand pat. 53% of you say the Blue Jackets should make minor tweaks at the deadline. 33% say you should be aggressive, and then 12% say the Jackets should stand pat at 3 o'clock tomorrow.
I'd send a number 1 to the Oilers for McDavid. Who says no? Who says no?
Yeah.
You can't get that done? Let's do 3 things on a Thursday.
1, 2, 3 things.
All right, number 1 for me, watch the most recent episode of White Lotus last night. Enjoy the writing, enjoy the mystique, the intrigue, all of it. I think Mike White's got a hell of a formula for telling stories. It picked up a little, but it does feel like we're kind of in the mud a little bit here. A little bit at the end it picked up, but I feel like we got to get going a little bit on the big themes here because it's a lot of just kind of judging each other, and I need some big dominoes to start to fall, Reese.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. Like I need confrontation here.
Go.
Like we're getting up to it, but let's jump off the cliff here. Last night, in case you missed it, Cavaliers clinched a playoff spot. First team in the NBA to do so. They beat the Miami Heat for their 12th straight win. I've got to stay consistent here with my takes because they honored Kevin Love with a tribute video. It was his first time back in Cleveland playing the Cavs since he'd been, kind of sent away and picked up by the Heat. If he's playing for an opponent, you don't honor him until he retires. I want no tribute videos. He's on the opposing team. You can pay tribute to him when he is done in the league. He is there to beat you. You are there to continue a winning streak. He's got a different goal than you should. Thanks for the service, but we're here to kick your ass.
I saw Richard Jefferson was on the broadcast too, and they showed him a lot of love as well. My first thing, I don't complain about the Ohio weather too often. I don't mind the cold. I actually prefer the cold to the 90, 95 degree heat. But I will say the 65 the other day, down into the 20s, waking up this morning, a little bit of a ridiculous. And the worst part is everybody around us is going to get sick now in the next week or two because of this.
Yeah, I saw something on the barometric pressure that just happened in the last 24 hours and what's going to happen. That's actually my number 2 is the same. The cold this morning and last night had 3-on-3 basketball, so it was starting to get cold by the time that I got home from that. So that cold walking out of the gym and then the cold this morning punched me straight in the face. And it was interesting to take it in from Buddy Garrity, the 2.5-year-old golden retriever's perspective. I think he thought it was over too. Like he had a new lease on life in the 60s. He's bouncing. He's good to go. Wants to go screw around with his buddy Gus. All of these things. Wants to lose all the fat he put on in the winter. My guy, I opened the door this morning. All right, go ahead, go potty. He took one step and then stopped. I'm not kidding you, dead in his tracks. It was like, what? What is this, Dad? I'm not doing this. And quickly begged to come right back.
Yeah, it's it's 5 or 6 times in the winter. Odie does the same thing. Like, it's spring. And like, it's not, buddy, because then the next day it's, what did we do here? Why did somebody turn the heat off? Second thing for me, so it looks like we've got a Lexington bureau chief and Mike who chimes in the YouTube chat. Publix opened in Lexington yesterday. It was insane. Almost like the entire city had never been to a grocery store before.
It is just a grocery store. Now, it's a great sub, but it's just a grocery store.
You think they mobbed the deli for it?
You're so excited.
First thing.
It's like that. There's a cult around Publix that's a lot like Bucky's, the gas stations.
That place is nuts.
And there's one of those that's coming in like Dayton, right? Like pretty soon.
Yeah,
when I was
like
on the road to
Vandalia.
Indy, yeah, when I was on the road to Indy last week, it was like there was a sign that had Bucky's, and it was like 560 miles till your next Bucky's. So they're trying to set the tone that it's coming.
Mm-hmm. My second thing, we talked about the probable end of an era in Cleveland yesterday with Nick Chubb, and I got to thinking about it more and more yesterday afternoon, and most of my favorite Browns of all time are the old Browns, pre-1996 when they left, like Eric Metcalf and Bernie Kosar and Webster Slaughter and Kevin Mack. Those are like all of my favorite Browns of all time, probably a little bit because they've been bad and also they've never had a quarterback since they've returned in 99. I really haven't had a favorite Brown except for Nick Chubb. And I just got to thinking about it a little bit, and man, this sucks. Losing your favorite player stinks.
Yeah, it just sucks about his injuries. I mean, it's brutal. Brutal, that spot of it. You want to know what else is brutal? Yesterday I gave the update on the kid drop-off line. Today, even more unprecedented behavior in the kid drop-off line. So we're in the semicircle. Again, somebody stopped short because it's cold and little Susie can't walk more than 15 feet to get into a door. So they stopped right at the front door. Now, this time it wasn't somebody I know. So NBC and I were 5 cars back. And I said, get out. And he knew, like he didn't have to be told. Like if you're in the semicircle, get out. So he gets out. Fellas, the car directly in front of me, the kid didn't get out. It waited for 2 cars to leave and then pulled up and stopped right in front of the door.
Oh, boy.
I've never... The kid couldn't walk 2 car lengths. That was too much.
Jail.
God.
possibility of parole for that person, like maybe 10 years. Let's do it. Actually, all right.
Car links. God.
Be nice to the parent. They can get out in 2030, or they can have the possibility for parole in 2030, about the time Dan Lanning's new deal with Oregon will expire. The Ducks have reportedly extended him, or are close to an extension that'll pay him $11 million annually. Lanning's 38, which I did not know. I had him a little older, but his buyout will remain at $20 million. So Oregon locking up the guy they think can be the guy to deliver that title to Eugene before Phil Knight goes.
Rothman and Ice coming up next, guys. They're going to talk some college hoops with Dan Dockich. It is also a Gold Jacket Thursday. Harold Carmichael, former Philadelphia Eagle, will join the fellas.
And you got that to look forward to, which is very, very nice. We're back tomorrow, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Miss, your burger is served.
Thank you.
And if I may suggest a pairing, this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. The sweetness of Pepsi perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger, while the citrus and carbonation elevates the taste for a truly stunning flavor profile. Bon appetit.
Now that is one perfect combination. If this is how the other half lives, I could get used to this. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops, receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried EasyCater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
EasyCater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Welcome to AT&T. How can I help?
Hey, I thought I could trust my twins with my phone, but they outnumber me, man.
Whoa, that's a lot of glitter paint. Let's trade
lives.
At AT&T, everyone can trade in an old or glittered iPhone any year, any condition, and save on a new iPhone. Ask how to get iPhone 16 Pro on us. New and existing customers. Savings vary by device and trade-in combinations. Restrictions apply. See att.com/iPhone for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Save big money on your next painting project at Menards. Get a paint that combines gorgeous color and durability. Dutch Boy's Platinum Plus is a paint and primer with a protective finish that guards against scuffs, spills, and stains. Refresh your home today with Dutch Boy paint. Get a gallon on sale now through March 9th. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more of the good life to your life, so you can bring home more perfectly plump and flavorful produce picked for precise freshness, beautifully marbled beyond brag-worthy certified Angus beef, and more must-have money-saving M-Perks rewards. Because saving more on local favorites is good, but bringing home more of what you love in every trip, that's the good life. We do more to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
At Diamonds Direct, our experts go the extra mile to ensure you have the tools to say I do with absolute confidence. Our promise to you is a completely risk-free shopping experience rooted in transparency, education, and integrity. No pressure, no intimidation, just clarity and confidence in your purchase. But we're about more than just price. Everything is backed by our exclusive guarantees. Put our tools to the test against any competitor, and our expert staff will ensure you get the very best overall value and unforgettable experience. Learn more at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number,
Call now, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit GetEthos.com. That's GetEthos.com.